Welcome to the Elf World, everyone. The name's Adam, and we're doing another Dice Scum live, and it's again powered by the Apocalypse flavored, which means we're going to get to see the author's poorly disguised fetish.
And I'm interested. And in this case, especially because the 4th of July, the American Independence Day, is coming up, we're going to talk about one of the most hardworking and dedicated groups in America that has really come to their own. You all know them as Monster Girls.
Wait, what?
Yes, don't you know? Those hardworking immigrants coming from different realities, making a difference despite their different abilities.
Oh, so this is like Rifts, but shit. It's
I
like
would not put
Monsters
this and
Musume,
riffs
but
together.
ass.
Yes, there you go. It's Monster Musume, but ass.
Which is saying a lot because Monsters Musume isn't that good to begin with. So,
Well, we all know the reason why it's popular.
oh, we know. Speaking of which, welcome to KB. How can I take your order? I'm a spider chick with burgers and fries for you. Totally not a fetish. Not a fetish.
Totally not anime inspired as well.
So here's a fun fact about this. I've actually had this book since early on in Dicecum lore. I've actually wanted to do this one since, honestly, way back when we were doing stuff like Wraithathu. Mainly because I took a look at the back of the book and I just kind of said, yeah, this is perfect. This has Sigmata energy. So let's go through that just to get an idea on where younger Adam was at. Enter post-surge America, where racial tensions are at an all-time high. Immigration is a matter of immediate life and death for all involved, and you'd kill for a job at the burger joint around the corner. I wonder why I would want to cover this book back when we were talking about crap like Sigmata. I wonder why.
Yes. So, turns out we're newcomers. We fled the destruction of our world and stumbled onto Earth circa 2018. Our new lives are complicated by our demi-human traits and our cultural differences, but we must persevere.
Also, they're all monster girls. There are no monster men. So,
How they reproduce is anyone's guess. I assume parasitism.
not neato. Memes aside, what the fuck did I walk into? So, this is a product made by Void Spiral Games, most known for games like Oubliette and Heroines the first stage and Heroines the last stage. And yes, all of them are anime inspired, and most of them have monster girls attached to them. The only one that doesn't is Oubliette, but that still has the certain anime vibe. No, it's not a fetish. Totally not a fetish. And all of them either use Powered by the Apocalypse or the Fate engine. Void Spiral Games is also known for making a variety of fonts that I think have been used by other indie games that you can get for a few dollary dues on their drive-through RPG. And this is just the one that drew my eye the quickest, just because you see the cover, you read the back, and you go, yeah, yeah, this looks like an entertaining trash fire.
Though it is appropriate that this is powered by the apocalypse, considering the trigger warnings are racism, domestic violence, discrimination, sex, and profanity.
Well, that's actually an improvement from Apocalypse World because sex was the first thing on Vincent Baker's mind. At least in this one,
Yes.
it's probably like the fourth thing. That's an improvement. We have to give credit there. Oh, also, corruption is rampant. Who would guess in 2018 era America, corruption was rampant? I wonder what this book is trying to talk about. Something about a real estate mogul turned celebrity, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know. I at first thought this was 20. It was actually supposed to be written during 2018, but no, it was copywritten 2017. So, and for those of you who don't remember, about 8 years ago, the biggest thing in was, of course, border wall, and one of the first things that was done was to ban immigration from various countries, mostly war-torn ones, Middle Eastern, African. I forget if that got settled in the. I know that got settled in the courts, but I forget which way it did.
A
Um,
combination of deal making, and I also know that around this time there were talks about improving the powers that ICE had. I wonder why. I wonder why these were brought into this game.
so it looks like we're doing the X-Men thing, where we take modern political issues and substitute it with people with superpowers.
Which could be interesting, but it's not going to be. From Princess Cyanide, is it really racism if there are different species? No, that's called speciesism.
It would actually be a very accurate use of speciesism.
Also, there's nothing wrong with monster girls, but this looks like ass. Well, Cersei, yes and no. If the only thing you have going for you is monster girls, that probably means that that's kind of all you're inspired by. And that probably means you have a very interesting collection of items and images on your computer. Oh, I hope it's culturally sensitive as well. I hope they go into a lot of details. I mean, there's a pretty elaborate table of contents which even has unique logos on it for some reason.
Well, as we begin, we start with a tale from Simbari Tracular, in which she, and I presume she,
I mean,
was
they're
an alchemist
all monster
apprentice.
girls, so just assume.
Yep. Father was a court mage, and mother was an enchantress, so it's not parasitism, it is um, just regular sexual reproduction. It looks like demons arrived. Um, I woke, I couldn't tell if I'd been killed or taken to hell. Giant beasts careened me past every which way. That was when I almost died. So it is a modern campaign setting for heroines of the First Age.
Which is another
Players are
book that they've done. I believe that one actually has a weird large scale battle setting. It's an interesting one that's also powered by the apocalypse.
hmm,
I mean, interesting in the Chinese sense. May you live in interesting times, sort of thing. I don't mean interesting as in good.
yes. You play as demi-humans who have recently fled oppression and genocide in their fantastical ancestral homelands in favor of a chance at peace here on Earth.
I could make so many comments here, but I won't. Let's
Oh yeah,
continue.
um, demi-humans aren't used to the modern world, and it's culture clash after culture clash as these people try to find or make homes for themselves. Their sudden appearance is condemned by some humans, but accepted by others, leading to all kinds of civil strife and chaos.
I'm just wondering. So where do the Sun Elves like? What direction do the Sun Elves pray to when they don't have a reference to their universe's take on the Sun Temple?
Ooh,
I mean, at least they can get proper kit. They just have to go to a Muslim section. Yeah, this is very on the nose. It's actually painfully so, and it's kind of amusing me so far. Mm.
yes. Let's see. 2 years after their first arrival, the governments have finally decided that this issue is here to stay, and we're all going to have to get along with it, whether or not it kills us. Yeah,
Especially if it
that's.
kills us. Oh man, imagine all the demons that probably snuck in too.
I believe you mean the mortally challenged.
Well, this is a pre-gen campaign setting for heroines of the first age. It exists to give you the tools to quickly put together a game within a specific setting and with particular themes. Always remember you can modify the setting as needed for your own game. The core book covers so many ways to expand the setting. So I have to give credit in that they're not pressuring you to get heroines of the first age. They're just referencing that this is kind of what it's a spin-off of. Oh
I
wait,
believe
no, never mind. You
you
need a copy. Oh, you bastard.
it's a setting guide.
You bastard.
Also, we do need to make a disclaimer. This book is not about glorifying racism. It's about dealing with those with the world in which it exists. It should be fairly clear that those who hate demi-humans or any other group just because of where they come from or what they look like is just plain wrong.
Even if it activates a specific phobia, like what if a person has crippling arachnophobia and they see a spider chick? Is it wrong of them to accidentally panic instinctually and run away screaming?
I mean, they can panic, but I guess they just can't be bigots. Though I do at least like they saying, "Yeah, put on your adult pants."
Wait,
That's like,
does that mean that we have to respect their cultural tradition of eating their males alive?
oh, that's going to be an issue.
I mean, if you think about it, that's not too dissimilar to in India during the 19th century. There was a tradition where the wives of a person who died sometimes were put to death.
Yeah, that's
That
going to
was
be an issue.
something that the East India Company legitimately fought several revolts to put down.
But again, still, praise. I always praise the book, saying like, "This is a serious topic. If you don't think you can do that, just leave."
Which is fair enough, but we're going to then go into why this isn't necessarily a serious topic because of the well,
Well, look at the first image of um. It looks like a black version of Squidward's fancy face talking to a tentacle girl,
yeah, I as soon as I saw this, I kind of knew that I had to use this as the thumbnail.
and he is not amused by this woman.
Wait, technically, isn't this? Oh wait, she does have hands. I think it'd be more interesting if she didn't
You're
have
right.
hands, so they'd have to come up with some form of accommodation for her.
So why does she have tentacle horns? But
I can give you reasons, but that would get us blacklisted.
oh,
Something
but
something grab them. Now you know.
all right. So as we ventured into this very serious topic of immigration and culture clashes, we need to talk about the sliding scale of terror versus hilarity. And hilarity can ensue, such as you walk down an alley and find a cat girl who insists she's not a kitten, even though she's sitting in a box that says, "Please adopt me." Orphan children, how hilarious.
Oh, that's amusing. I mean, this is just right after you basically had to free a bunch of poor monster girls that were being used in a human trafficking scheme. Yeah, just immediately as soon as you're done, this happens.
And then crap saccharin is you find um
Oh, this is for
a
actually another TV tropes reference, since that's an
yep.
actual
Oh,
trope.
these are TV. You walk down an alley and find a kitten in a box that says, "Please adopt me," but there's a little girl next to it crying, and she runs away when you approach her. And then black humor is you walk down an alley to find a bruised young cat girl smoking a cigarette and wearing a ripped band t-shirt. She's handing out flyers to anyone who passes for the big stack in a Kinko's bag. And the flyers are adoption papers. I don't think that's humor.
That's not
And
black
then there's
humor.
absolute terror. You walk down an alley and find a box that says, "Please adopt me." The box is closed and blood is pooling from the bottom of it.
That's not
That's
terror.
just sad.
That's just kind of horror.
Yeah.
It's not terror. It's just okay.
But now we get into the lore, in which we talk about the Surge. I know this is not a reference to the Iraq War. This happens in 2017. One day in October, the floodgates open and unleash an unprecedented phenomenon on the world. Um, what the phenomenon is, we don't know.
Coming up with
Because
rules for the phenomenon's too hard, so fuck it.
Yep.
This is one of the reasons Powered by the Apocalypse is kind of such a plague on
Oh wait,
the
no, no.
sphere.
Here we go. Dozens of eyewitnesses reported large horses with bizarre mutations running wild past Starbucks and McDonald's and taking refuge in a mall. Oh, great! The brew have arrived.
Yeah, this is not going to go well.
So it looks
Yeah,
like monsters just came onto the Earth, as also seen by this wonderfully small graph.
I don't feel like clicking. I'll click it.
I am
Oh
going to
god.
zoom in.
Ah.
And accordingly, within a what is that? Nope, that's not 6. That's
Is that like a month or
oh
like a year?
nope, over nearly over a year and a half. The total number of new people on this planet is about I'd say
It says 40 million to
40.
me.
Yeah, about a little over 40 million.
All in America. Lovely.
No, not in America. I think
If it's globally, that's better.
globally. Bear in mind, I don't know how they tracked it, and I don't know if there's any numbers of the people who have most likely died. And let's see. No one was prepared for the sheer panic that grew in the human mind when confronted with beings such as Lamia, Arachne, Cephs, and Harpies with
Yeah,
tits.
when you use the specific terms, that kind of tells me a lot about you. That just tells me
Yep.
a lot about you that you probably don't
As what they
want.
were saying, it's not the computer, it's on the phone. It's the images on the phone. Or in the work computer.
Do you think this was edited on a phone? Do you think they like made this on the phone?
Maybe.
That would explain the weird aspect ratio.
So I presume, basically, in the first few weeks, there was a massive amount of murder occurring against these creatures.
And vice versa. Because you know there's going to be someone who wants to try to tap that.
Well, actually, no, it was
You've
for
seen
weeks.
the art of that.
Oh, yeah. Basically, imagine your Lovecraft scenario, but with anime tits.
You know, they made an anime about that.
Several, I believe. But let's see. So, other countries were handling their problems, but here's what happened in the United States. More demi-humans here because more demi-humans make it into the media here. There are plenty of newcomers arriving in Europe, South America, Africa, Asia, the South Pacific, and even Antarctica. Those women are dead.
I kind of find it a bit hypocritical and dumb that they're going to try to highlight that it's America specifically that's the problem out of all of the other countries.
Well, it's more saying because it looks like there's more in the United States because more media presence is dedicated to them. And I presume less active genocides.
You're thinking that, but I don't think that's the direction they're going with.
Probably. Let's see. The surge a-
I wonder
probably
how
caused
many monster girls were ripped apart by the Chinese government to get aphrodisiacs out of them.
the
And,
Chinese
or,
government. I think
oh
the
yeah, the
Chinese
locals.
civilians.
Yeah, the locals.
Massive hunts by various local tribes in various areas. I'm pretty sure the Sentinelese probably killed a few of them.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. So there's been a diverse set of reactions to the search from corporations, governments, politicians, celebrities, and common people. Unregulated news outlets have fueled fears of the fear fires of fear and hatred, while local city councils have simultaneously taken steps to secure metropolis areas and accommodate the unique biology of the newcomers. The official position of the federal government is complicated and ever changing. Bills are negotiated, passed, blocked, and overturned on the topic of integration. Hmm. Funny word to be using.
How many Lamia girls were killed in Qatar? That's an interesting question.
How many of them died because their biology is not adapted to the local environment?
I'm just envisioning this poor snake creature just weeping because they got teleported outside of Trondheim, Norway, going, "Why
How many?
is it so cold?"
Also, given the fact that our planet is 70% water, how many of them drowned to death?
Don't worry, the dolphin girls will save them.
Let's see. There's pretty much there's more movements for organizing a third party just for integration. Good luck.
I
Um,
find it hilarious that like, this guy has no clue on anything except he knows what he wants to tap, and that is a spider girl in a Burger King worker's costume.
hmm. No constitutional amendment or federal bills have been passed on the topic of the actual basic rights of demi-humans. It's been years.
It's been like 2 years, dude.
You're handling. You're not even allowing the state governments to handle them. It's the local jurisdiction to handle them. That's a nightmare of policy proportions.
And then there's also the matter that it's not even been 2 years. Do you know how long it takes to get a law actually passed? This is someone who just wants the executive branch of government to just do executive orders unilaterally. This is the type of person that doesn't understand. You have to do months of legal, very annoying
No,
arguments
no,
just to double check.
no. It's a person who thinks when it comes to human rights or any sort of social issue, it should be solved immediately.
No thought at all in
Let's
that
see.
head.
The case of a beating of a demi-human by a human that one judge uh, would convict over might be completely thrown out by his colleague. Traveling in one part of the country makes little difference either. The divisions between detractors and proponents are so new that they haven't coagulated into regional alliances. There's no federal oversight. What the hell happened to the government? I know this would be during Trump's first administration, but you think he would do something.
I think he's too busy trying to figure out how he can get made costumes for the monster girls for the Trump Tower. It's like, I gotta figure out how to get all the stockings on the spider chick. Gotta figure it out. Gotta make it work right. How do we?
Barron's told me he loves this. Kushner, too. Let's see, corporate interests. Certain outlets of popular media would have you believe that the demi-humans are all poor and bereft of wealth and
Did
belonging.
you jump ahead already? How far did you jump?
That is just the next page.
Sorry, I was just because I'm looking at the headers and I'm seeing stuff like, oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Pawn shops make a killing ripping off newcomers. Jobs are hard for many newcomers. No shit, since they're legally not people.
Not only that, but their understanding of technology is maybe late fantasy, like your medieval, early Renaissance stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
Also,
and on
language.
top of that, pawn shops rip off everyone. That's the point of a pawn shop.
Also, biology.
Yeah, that would
You
also
know,
do it.
do we know if our medicines actually treat them or kill them?
Fun fact, did you know you can get insects drunk on coffee because caffeine works as a mild toxin for them?
Mm. Also, apparently, um, these people can be allowed in slavery, as there's no law against it.
I would
You would
imagine
think,
I would
you
imagine
would,
the 13th Amendment alone.
well, do these entities classify as human?
It breaks the
It,
spirit of the law though if you don't do that.
but apparently, this hasn't in years been taken up by the Supreme Court.
You say that, but I think what actually happened instead is this guy he just wants the monster girls in chains because you know what he does with
Yeah.
his other hand.
Also, now we go on to the big topic of religion and spirituality,
Lovely.
because this may or may not have proven the existence or the non-existence of God.
Oh, by the way,
Which
the
God?
gate idea, I think that's actually from like a manhwa or manga that came out around that time.
That's
So it's not
Steins
even
Gate.
creative.
Let's see.
That's something you'd see in
There's
like random forums. Like, okay, a gate opens to the last thing you've read. What is it?
uh oh that the I'm pretty sure it's something Warhammer related.
Oh,
That's
we're fucked
that's
then.
yeah, we're fucked. Um let's see. Ancient faiths, obscure cults, and new age religions have risen, as well as small churches to the gods of the other world where the demi-humans gather, but these are invariably short-lived affairs plagued by vandalism and violence.
Really?
By who?
Really? Just a reminder that even though like I'm gonna be frank, yeah, there would be a lot of racism in this, but I'm pretty sure the Supreme Court would have still ruled in favor of them being treated as persons in the event of legal application, even if they might be the equivalent of an undocumented person, aka an illegal.
Oh yeah, that's also right. What other documentation? What documentation do they have?
Oh yeah, cats are like really fragile. Squirrel Killer highlights, yeah, medicines affect people differently, creatures differently. Yeah, cats are surprisingly fragile to a lot of medicines.
Also, it appears that the people coming here have languages just as diverse as Earth, which means a lot of translation, which is not good. Not good for integration.
By the way, when did Gate come out? I'm actually curious because that is exactly what I was thinking of when I just realized the gates were still open.
Hmm. Well, let's see. The fact that most demi-human cultures translate their word for their homeworld as Earth um, is actually most likely a very terrifying idea, because this now implies multiple realities.
Yeah, that's the thing. Multiverse theory has just been proven, and it's a bitch.
And also, we might be at the center of it then.
Yeah. Also, there's the concept of wait, do these guys have magic? Because if the gates still exist,
Exploitation time! And let's see, the other world is a terrible place, a world nearly every civilized creature would want to take refuge from. There are no
yeah,
complete counts of the other world. Oh
this
no, it's hell.
this is just a
It's
weeaboo's take on fucking Gate. Yeah. Holy shit. Like the more I'm reading this, like they even highlight the U.S. would have bombed it into oblivion. This is just Gate where they just move the gate so the U.S. can't fucking invade it.
Earth is pretty much stuck dealing with demi-humans, but whether they're treated as invaders or local refugees is up to those who come in contact with. The Big Gate Entry Task Force, um,
That is
which
simplified
also,
Chinese in Roman
yeah,
text.
this implies that the U.S. has made a response to this, which is
Basically, interdimensional ice.
so ICPB.
I just realized that actually sounds like a more interesting idea though, where you're playing
I mean
cops
that
but you have to wrangle monsters.
I mean that's basically just Men in Black.
Yeah, doesn't that sound fun? Rather than this.
And good news, there is a West End games that's entirely about playing as Men in Black.
It's not as polished as the Star Wars one because West End Games was
Yeah.
starting to kind of die when their Men in Black splat came out, but it's still pretty solid. It's a good
Let's
system.
see. So we now have this
Oh no, there
new
is one more
divide.
concern. Considering that the gates are opening up more and more, there's going to be more monsters that come through, like monster girls. So, unironically, we might run into a Malthusian collapse if they can't stop the gates from forming.
Oh,
So, unironically, due to this factor, you are accidentally advocating for a certain solution that is not often thought about except by certain types of people.
no, no, no. The solution is this: exploitation. Because think about it, they're half animal. It's not cannibalism, folks.
Speaking of which, random. I don't know what the fuck this is.
Oni boss lady.
It has a tail, though. Is this
I
supposed to
don't
be
know.
like a succubus, but they fucked up?
Could be a succubus. But the political issue of the day is called the new divide.
Neat.
So the first off, we have the detractors, known as defenders, humanists, resistants, bigots, or racists, despite this not being a human race.
Yeah, you can't really be racist in this regard.
Yeah. Detractors disagree with integration. Some are actively looking to protect human culture. What is that? Um, while others are aggressive about ridding the nation of those they call invaders. A
Or
large
what about the ones that are just going, there's more and more of them coming out. That's not good because we might run into what's called a population collapse, like a famine.
Well, you see, those good ideas get silenced behind the media then using the people screaming that the Jews are behind the sexy cat girls. That's all. It all rips back to the Jews. I could actually see some wacko online doing that.
So they make trouble for demi-humans in their daily lives, post inflammatory remarks online, even assault or abuse demi-humans they come across. Is this dude just like seething about people making fun of his fetishes? Is this what this entire section was about?
No, it's making my fetish political.
See, I'm not a weirdo who jerks it to monster girls. I am a
I'm
defender of progressive rights. As a
I'm
champion
making
to
a
anime.
I'm making a political point. You see, listen? Would you treat the big tittied lamia any different than another human being?
Well, given
If
that
you
snakes don't need to eat as much, maybe.
if so, why not the refugees? Why not Pedro?
Is this dude wearing clown makeup when he's explaining this to everyone else?
Would you do it for Pedro?
Oh
So
yeah,
here are the
demi-human alone is actually kind of bigoted if you think about it.
because it stresses that they're not human.
Well, no, it also emphasizes that humans are the central body plan of all intelligent life.
Yeah. So
There's a
the number of
primacy, there's a human primacy when you always compare aspects to the human existence. That's anthropocentric.
wouldn't it be humanocentric? Well, anthro as well, yeah. But
Humanocentric, yeah. This is
yeah,
humanocentrism.
there are a number of approaches that detractors put forth. Border enforcement. The USA should withdraw troops abroad to defend our home soil
This is a guy who only got their news on Twitter. I can tell.
and and detain cat. detain any creature that attempts to gate into the United States. Newcomers must be vetted. No non-humans should be permitted within the United States. Those here are here illegally and they should be deported or exiled. We
No,
owe
no, the
invaders
dog girl
nothing.
doesn't want to get her distemper shot.
Zero rights. Non-human invaders just that, not human. They have no rights at all, and therefore landowners are fully within their own rights to trap them, capture them, or shoot them on sight. Furthermore, every one of them that takes the precious resources away from our people,
But that's
our
actually
volk,
true.
what
There's an
our
infrastructure that
you
we
know,
can't handle.
our nation, our people, our volk,
But like the thing is, they have
seek
a point
humanity.
because of the fucking gates continuously opening, and there's more of them each year.
But then we have well, we do well. We should look to the opposite view. The proponents, also known as the bleeding hearts, bleeders, just said the same thing twice.
These
The
slang
beast
pieces are
love
shit.
the beast lovers and the Satanists. They believe that at some point at least humans and demi-humans can get along, and that America is strong enough to support both populations. They point to the fact that America is and has always been a melting pot of cultures. And look at that poem on the Statue of Liberty. And that studies have shown that immigrants have often brought with them a wave of innovation and industry. Did you know that in fact that immigrants have the lowest level of crime known, and in fact contribute massively to the armed forces? Sorry, I thought I was reading Democrat talking points.
Yeah,
Um,
this is pretty hack-handed.
yes, detracts of a lot of insults for them. Not all proponents of the best interests of the people. There are a lot of hypocrites, swindlers, fraudsters, and rapists in their ranks. There's a lot of money to be made in dealing with this situation. Um, and a number of these people have secret ties to companies and politicians and online fetish sites that are unabashed detractors.
It, is this guy actually semi-aware that the talking points he's preaching are often used by fake activists to continue their grift because what they're crying about has been resolved for the most part?
Yes,
Huh.
probably.
I don't think this effort to not get made fun of off the internet by the people you're trying to hang with is going to work, my man.
So there are a number of approaches. We have staged immigration, which is to prevent damage to property, misunderstandings, and standoffs. They should be gathered into immigration zones where they're taught what to be expected on Earth in the United States.
This is just the
We po-
ghetto.
no, it's even worse. Re-education camps, much like the Canadians. We'll take the demi-human out of them.
By the way, not Nito. Bro, if I can't shoot an endangered goat when they start eating my cables, why the hell would I be able to shoot the goat girl? That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Cultural amnesty. We should take a stance of forgiveness and accept these refugees. We should do our best to comfort them, educate them, and learn from them. We should create sanctuaries and neighborhoods where they can participate in their own cultural expression rather than paint them over with their own opinions. And also ignore crimes that happen for them, because we
Is-
don't want the other side to have political victory.
My man got bullied so hard he's saying, fuck humans, they're all terrible.
Welfare and welcome programs. We are legally obligated by the UN treaties to offer.
What the?
Sorry, I had to laugh at that. So we're legally obligated by UN treaties to offer certain protections to refugees, but this is only the barest minimum we could do. These people deserve sympathy and respect, and it's morally wrong to treat them like second-class citizens. We should create federal programs to help integrate and settle them, because that's what a decent person would do. Said person who has no idea about how the federal government operates.
Also said the person who, by the way they're explaining this, I think doesn't understand how integrating a population works.
You see, if you just give them support, they'll become just like Americans,
No,
ignoring history.
literally each immigration community needs usually at least a couple generations to kind of integrate in.
Yes,
At
it
least
can't
a
be done
couple.
overnight.
This is embarrassing.
The third side. Uh, Opinions differ on whether the third side actually exists. Forum threads and pundits alike have raged over the semantics of whether one can be truly neutral in a battle against detractors' proponents.
Yeah, it's called You Don't
And
Care.
yeah, some argue that everyone is fundamentally either or against integration. On the other side, some people say the jury is still out, that we don't have enough information. Others point to this complex and volatile issue isn't so easily understood, and these people, as we know, are fucking fence sitters.
Yeah, pretty much.
These are literally your enlightened centrist.
Or in this case, the person who points out, yeah, you want to treat him good, but like remember, gates are opening more and more often. Because that's the other thing. Like I have to keep referencing back that by the logic of this own setting, more and more gates are opening and disappearing and shit, loading more and more monster girls, right?
Okay, hold 1 second though.
Imagine if like a million of them shat up Norway.
Yeah. Also, here's this fun thing. So, some are there are a number of groups who feel that the hue and cry raised over the integration is an insult to the decades of work they put into their cause. Some are frustrated that the demi-human rights are getting as much backing and being taken seriously so quickly, while their rights are still not supported. Some with disabilities feel snubbed by the changes made for demi-humans so easily and readily. Another subset of those are um, are the demi-humans who were already living in the States in secret, who subsequently had their lives turned upside down by the surge, and are now forced to either remain hidden or answer some very uncomfortable questions like, why the fuck are you here?
Wait, so what you're saying is gates existed beforehand?
No, we had illegal border hoppers from other realities already here.
I don't think the writer thought that through when they said that.
And let's see, looks like they have their own magic and are just as confounded by Earth technology. We also have social media.
Oh boy.
Remember, this was written in 2017. Moving on.
They also going through the magic system.
Yep.
Magic
Uh,
can't explain shit.
there's natural magic. Then there is firearms.
So what you're
Many,
saying is this person put about as much thought into the magic system as High Guardian Spice did,
yes,
which is to say, not at all.
yep. Firearms and war machines. Demi-humans apparently are not immune to bullets, but they're much harder to bring down than expected. When asked about it, give the same kind of "we're used to it" response. Uh, that those with a knowledge of weapons or firearms occurred is not remotely how that works.
So what you're saying is this is basically a boost up on purpose. This is a boost up on purpose by this guy going, "No, you can't kill my monster girls." What a weenie.
Demi-human needs. Demi-humans generally eat more than humans do, perhaps with increased metabolic rate. Great.
No, that's a
Food
fetish.
crisis.
Yeah, that's a fetish too.
Food crisis. That's a worth it.
Yeah.
Some don't have specific dietary restrictions, but it seems like the majority do. With that percentage growing over time, as more and more unusual vitamin deficiencies are diagnosed with the demi-human population. Often these dietary needs relate to environments that are not available on Earth, so those people are fucking dead.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much you can do. Sorry, suck it up, Buttercup.
Others Others are utterly dependent on crystalline mineral deposits, sunlight for photosynthesis, and even human blood. And those last ones we will kill on sight.
You probably should. Like,
Other
bro,
hu-
we struggled to fill our blood banks. What the fuck makes you think we can get human blood?
Other demi-humans have requirements that aren't nutritional, such as harpies needing to have room to flap around. Other species need certain temperatures or humidity. Um, some demi-humans come directly to the local government, medical facility, grocery, or hardware store in search of what they need. Others try to let socially acceptable methods do it, which means they go into crime.
Be a monster girl, do crime.
Yep. Because social security numbers and other documents are often needed for financial activities, demi-humans don't have them. Few businesses pay their employees cash these days, so it's hard to get started in America. So yes, we are getting more and more blatant that these are supposed to be legal immigrants.
Mm-hmm. I mean, ignore that. This is a problem in most parts of the fucking world, dumbass.
But what
It's
if we just
because
let
of
them
the
in?
digitization of currency, moron.
What if we could just let them in? What if we just gave them social security numbers? What if nobody is illegal? What if it turns out demi-humans and humans are just the same? Have you ever thought of that, bigot?
Why do you have a Spider Girl Dakimakura?
Bigot?
Why do you also have a love doll of a dragon girl?
Because I'm lonely. And I saw that one movie one time and it fucked me up. So, despite all those horrible things, we could instead just make it a comedy. Like instead of the fact that none of these immigrants, yeah, that's pretty much there, know how to start a fire or keep a fridge stocked,
Yeah, apparently they don't know how to cook.
or that they don't have any understanding of finances and blow up your credit card debt. Isn't it cute when an 1,100-pound half spider almost crushes the object of her affections? I know I get an erection to that. Or when an overconfident outlander strips naked in the middle of a mall food court while wooing a sweetheart. Ah, doesn't that just get you erect?
I mean, not Nito, I think you're getting your answer. So he not Nito was asking why did they feel the need to make a game like this, and I think those two kind of explain why.
What if you had a succubus in a bar? Mmm, delicious.
Staying employed isn't easy either. Gas stations aren't exactly made for centaurs. Orcs sometimes give in to cravings in the checkout of a grocery store. It's super hard for catfolk models to stay awake under those nice warm lights. And that's not even mentioning your
Models.
coworkers.
Yeah. Also, so for crap saccharin, um, they bring up the fact that it's surprising to newcomers how good Americans are at making laws that completely miss the point. Almost like we're a country of millions of people with an increasingly polarized political environment. Also, I like that they put this next to constitutional amendments, not realizing that it's three-fourths of the states required to make a constitutional amendment.
It takes years sometimes to get an amendment pushed.
The last one we had, I believe, was in the 90s, and
70s, I
that was
think.
they, it was a long time ago, and that was for an amendment that a high school student saw was proposed back when the country was founded.
Yeah, it just takes that long. Like, legitimately, this is kind of ridiculous.
Poverty. Americans don't know how good they've got it. We don't even get access to social welfare programs offered to immigrants refugees. If you can manage to convince someone to give you a job, maybe you can avoid hanging out in the hobo camps.
And
And
finally,
don't
but
forget,
not least, death cult bullshit.
and climate change.
Death cult bullshit.
Black humor, which is to talk about uh, corruption. The usual American corruption like human trafficking, getting away with abuse of people, bribing officials to look the other way when you do environmental catastrophe, or selling secrets to foreign governments and getting American spies killed.
Why, hello there, Angel Arroyo. This is not another version of Fatal. What happened was, this is a group called Void Spiral Games, and they have a bad habit of making Monster Girl related RPG books, either using Fate or Powered by the Apocalypse, depending on the book you're reading. And this is the third of their books in a series called Heroine the First Age, then there's Heroine the Last Age, and this is America Land of Monsters. You have missed the goofy stuff, and now we're talking about the kind of edgy stuff.
Like, for instance, you'll do anything you need to when things are desperate. And you have this weird tendency to end up in embarrassing situations. Don't you just love when you're blowing a John and you accidentally web him? Oh, that you needed to do that to survive. Oh, so hilarious.
Oh no, I was gonna make a joke about being a desperate Lamia chick who has to like murder people to eat rats to live.
Or customs enforcement. Being chased across the country simply for existing is pretty terrifying by itself, but the horror of these situations is somehow muted by the absurdity of how these agencies don't know what to do with the demi-humans they capture. Well, they're not human, so it's not going to be recorded what you do behind the back.
I'm just envisioning a cat girl scream. You ever see a cat throw a tantrum when it's forced to take a bath? I'm just envisioning this team of ICE agents taking this cat girl who's screaming her fucking head off to get showered because she's covered in mud.
But then we bring up absolute terror.
No, no, but like if you've ever seen like what was it, Girl with the Dogs? Like you ever see the because they have custom tools. I'm just envisioning like This cat girl has like an orb around her head, like a clear plastic orb, and she's just like trying to fall over and is screaming. Ah!
Uh, but then we go into the serious fear, which is the adult fear. Systemic oppression, hate crimes, brainwashing, loss of children, powerlessness, abuse, institutionalized discrimination, racism,
Trafficking, obviously.
human demi-human trafficking, slavery, because remember, 13th Amendment does not apply. The fact that some of these people could be terrorists, experimentations, a world war, and of course, remember, the portals are open to hell. Have fun meeting Slanesh.
Yeah. Don't you like how the only ones that had any details were the ones where it was played up for comedy?
And even then, it had the comedic timing of a train wreck.
I mean, it had the comedic timing of you ever give a cat something and it just vomits?
Yeah. Although,
Yeah.
we do get a little bit of funny, not saying, if the John is already webbed up, he is now this week's groceries.
I mean, that is true.
Also, terminology. So we've got non-human, demi-human, demi or D, D-who, which is a hashtag, a monster, a new folk or a newcomer, or a shitblood, used to imply, also used by proponents, implying sex acts with demi-humans. Even the guys on your side are racist.
I kind of like
Uh,
how the terms they came up with are something you'd see in fucking Harry Potter.
I mean, I would, yeah, I would go with animal fucker.
By the way,
Like that.
here's the author's poorly disguised fetish right here on page 31.
And look at that cat girl. She's clearly not an adult.
That's a fox girl, actually. The underage cat girl getting solicited is later in the book.
Fun times for all. So,
Bacon Pilot says
2019.
portal still open. Oh, good boy. U.S. Army rolling in. Only good part of Netflix DMC. The problem is they can't do that because that's just copying the manga Gate, which was made by the Japanese Self-Defense Force. So that's why the gates constantly teleport around. Also, remember that this is the dude's magical realm. No, you're not gonna do heroin the first age. I'm not gonna have the U.S. government B-2 stealth bomb my dragon girls. Damn it!
We're dropping the mother of all bombs
I'm just
again.
envisioning Trump declaring war on other worlds.
They're bringing their cat girls, their lamias, their spider women, but some of the orcs have nice tits.
The ones that are escaping, they're usually among the better. But the dregs are chasing after them. It's time to close the gates. We've got what we need. We got what we need. We can't take any more. The U.S. government is incapable of holding this much. We're the greatest country. We took so many, so many. I had snake girls dying in Norway, and I said we can take them. We could take them. I went to the minister of Norway and said, "Hey, you got a lot of snake girls, but we can take them. We could take them. We can move them to Arizona, where they could do well."
They do what we love them. We love them so much.
So now this is 2019.
Yes.
Oh, oh no.
And look at that. 3 impeachments in 2 years. They got that wrong. A record number of mega storms. I think that's right. Government shutdowns, yes. Renewed rioting, about a year off. Scandal after scandal, of course. And it all sounds right in the middle until you add millions of demi-humans into the mix. And 2019 is shaping up to be a fairly big disaster. Oh, they're going to love the next year.
Oh, that's gonna be great. I'm just envisioning. Oh no. Oh no. Is the disease in this universe caused by a bitter bat woman who wanted revenge on the people for killing her sisters?
Oh,
Was this a witch's death curse by a bat lady in that universe?
oh, it could very well be. That's terrifying. So,
No,
But
not the minister of
hilarious.
Norway, the prime minister, because Norway is technically a monarchy.
Well, no, no, this is Trump. He would just say the minister of Norway.
I mean, if I fucked it up, I was just trying to mimic how he talked. Yeah.
I know, but no, he would legitimately say. So let's
Hilarity
see.
ensues. Oh
For
boy.
most of the surge, the only jobs that newcomers could get were either dangerous migrant-style labor work, mom and pop shoe places owned by demi-friendly humans.
So what you're saying is this is the only experience this guy had with not white people. Got it.
Yep. While it's convenient for business can often avoid paying more than minimum wage. More than minimum wage? They're not even paying minimum wage. Who you gonna call? The Department of Labor? You're undocumented.
And then they foolishly realize their mistake when the fox girl reveals she's actually a kitsune that can give them horrible curses.
Ah, then they just shoot them. They're just killing an animal.
Well, no, you gotta seal them in the rock like they did in Japan.
Also, this would pretty much mean also that they're competing with the actual migrant labor.
They are. Also, keep in mind they're more physically adept and more durable because they can take bullets to the face and survive that.
Y-
They're
Yeah,
actually
how are
they're
these?
actually superior to humanity in many ways, like on a
Yeah, how are these
logistical
creatures
level.
not dead after being essentially an existential threat to the human species?
You see, the writer didn't think this out because he was too busy thinking about other things.
And then we also have to talk about the dating scene, because there's nothing. Because clearly, when humanity sees humanoid-looking women, the first thing they're going to do is have sex with them.
I mean, give credit to this guy. At least he was able to keep his horny pants in check for a little bit before the spaghetti began flying out. Like there is more pasta coming out of this man's pockets than an Italian bistro in Naples.
And I realize this whole thing, Rick Santorum must be realizing how how much he can use this to say he was right.
At least Mitch McConnell can go, I am not a turtle. This is a turtle. And he points to the turtle girl.
Yeah. Many of the clubs and bars that permit newcomers quickly become hangouts for them and end up deserted by their human clientele.
I just
Uh,
love the weird humanity bad, I hate humanity because they make fun of me kind of energy coming off this guy.
well, listen, they're just being racist. Listen, these are completely normal people. Sure, they're a bit different and everything, but they're just like you and me.
No, like if you've ever read stuff like Wraithathu and stuff written by furries, this has like the same energy. Like this
Ah,
misanthropic, I hate humans bully me, the human bad, animal bad. It kind of has that little energy of it. And
hmm
it's been a while since we've read a book like this. This is kind of like it's a lovely little throwback. This is actually quite comforting for me.
on top of that, all romance with a demi-human can also be physically complicated, not just because of body shapes, but because there's other fetishes this book is catering to.
Word of advice: ask the guy whether or not his harpies have one or two holes, and
Oh
then
no,
die
yeah,
inside.
no, they do. They bring up the claws, scales, fur thing, but I wouldn't. But remember, there's most likely hyena women. Even cuddling can be dangerous. Lamia hugs have been must be executed carefully, as it takes a special kind of person to endure such snuggling. Ah, he likes death by snoo snoo.
No, he likes getting tied up because the examples he's listing, actually, especially with the spider chick, this motherfucker has a bondage fetish. Not surprised, given that he's using powered by the apocalypse, but that makes a lot more sense when you think about it.
I would actually love to know: is this guy a computer programmer or not?
Probably. Do these harpies have herpes? No, but they have avian flu, unfortunately.
Don't forget magic aids. Presumably, they have some STDs that we cannot account for.
You know, people keep thinking about the animal girls. They always forget about the plant girls. Did you know you can get Dutch Elm's disease from a plant girl? I didn't. I didn't even know
I,
it was
lo-
possible.
I love my ferns. I call her a her. I call her a her, but technically she's both. They have got both parts, but we love them. We love them. So culture clash. When someone from overseas visits America, they have at least an idea of what to expect. Newcomers have no such preconceptions. They know nothing about the U.S., our culture, our history, or the human history in general.
Why, there's like no humans in Otherworld.
Well, there's probably humans, but they must be so radically different that they do not know how our society acts. This causes all sorts of problems, because in some other cultures, mates are determined by ritual combat or physical contest, which is called assault in the United States. In other cultures, it's expected that the king of the region pays for upkeep of roads and sanitation. In the U.S., we have taxes for that.
Yeah, and where did? Oh God.
Ah,
I'm sorry. I'm having a bit of a. And how does the king
is
make money? You fool.
well, by getting the prince to fight the dragon, of course, which has gold.
I have a slight involuntary twitch in my right eye. I don't know if it's the. I don't
I mean,
know
a
if
king.
it's
I
the.
mean, I remember from my video, the king always has gold. So we have this weird variety of humanoid monster girls coming in and most likely engaging in a variety of crimes and cultural taboos. Also, apparently, no newcomer hail from lands as near as corporate, capitalistic, or bureaucratic as America. They come from cultures that value glory and bravery and honor, and none of those words mean the same thing to Americaners. Probably except for some people.
So this guy has no underst. Oh, that's lame. That's lame.
They're fucking alien culture. Like
No, it's not even
they're alien.
alien cultures. It's just the generic medievalist take on chivalry shit.
Okay,
That's kind of
so
boring.
let's see. Threats. One of the most sacred practices from your homeland is apparently anathema to American society. Whether it's raw meat, nudity on the Sabbath, that word actually implies something about those other worlds, which means somehow Judaism or some Abrahamic faith exists there.
Wait, that actually means that God's real. You accidentally
Yeah,
proved the existence of
you
God.
accidentally proved the existence of God. Sucks to be pagans. Looks like you all are going to hell.
Now, which iteration of that God, you don't know, but still.
Well, if they use the word Sabbath and it's on, I guess, Saturday, then hey, guess what religion was right?
No, no. It turns out it's the sundown between Sunday and Monday.
Oh, oh, we're all fucked.
That
Yeah.
means we're all wrong. Cat girls prove God is real. Yeah, Prissy, they did.
You see Richard Dawkins just throwing himself out a window as soon as he hears that.
No, Richard Dawkins willingly throws himself into a gate to meet the face of God to try to disprove him.
Yeah. Now let's see. Cell phones and cars. Apparently, some of the most confusing things for newcomers is the idea that for the price of a few meals, one can become a wizard with all the knowledge in the world. And with monthly payments by a stable job, they can purchase a vehicle that flies faster than a dragon can fly.
Wait, dragons can
How
fly
fuck?
slower than cars? What the fuck?
How fucking slow are these dragons? Are they fucking fat?
Well, I don't think you want to know the answer to that.
What's more, nobody's there to explain these devices to newcomers. No, natives don't even realize they're holding magic in the palm of their hand. Get it? Get it? Any form of technology is sufficiently advanced enough to be indistinguishable from magic. Huh?
They'd at least know the
Huh?
routine and rituals, and they would figure it out slowly. Like if you gave a
Eh.
cell phone to like a person from 14th century Italy, they'd be able to, with with practice, learn how to use it. It would take time. They might initially think it's magic, or at least some very fancy torch, but they could figure it out
Then
eventually.
yeah. Then let's see here.
Now, if you gave it to
Um,
like a if you gave it to a Cro-Magnon caveman, they might either proclaim you a god or just beat you to death with rocks. It's about either or.
that's the Cro-Magnon. We killed those species.
We did.
Actually,
Sabbath
that's
is
what we.
actually Tuesday for Monster Girl Juice. Yeah.
Uh, actually, that'd be of like hey, listen, there were other to like saying to the monsters, there were other species on this planet like us. We killed them. And just staring at those monsters with just a toothy smile of bloodlust. But moving on, we're going to talk about the education system. So
Oh
we
boy.
have the BSR, the basic schooling requirement. So for those young demi-humans that don't match an elementary or middle school, they and sometimes older demi-humans are told to take BSR classes, which are apparently not paid for by the government, uh, as they are between $1,000 and $10,000.
So this
Reme-
would make more sense if this was more of a local initiative sort of thing. Or if it was a
if you,
private schooling sort of scenario, like basically a lot of people realize that you can really exploit the shit out of them by giving them familiarity with the setting. Okay, if I was gonna write this setting seriously, where you had people getting yeeted out of gates, I would have like you'd have the crappy state version where they're just trying to get funding for it, but it's like criminally underfunded because it's all in deadlock because they're still trying to figure out what the fuck to do.
Mhm.
And then you have like the private ones, which are of a higher quality, but they can vary quite a bit, and it's usually promoted by some either scam or some religion trying to convert them.
Yeah. Oh, I could definitely see the religion ones.
Especially since once they realize that there is the equivalent of a Sabbath, I'm just envisioning like a synagogue funded school for the cat girl Jews.
I was just saying, thank goodness they didn't have cat boys. Have you ever? Does the Talmud say anything about performing a bris on an animal? I know one thing. We'd get those ultra orthodox not to touch the genitals. They wouldn't put their mouths there.
And then they look to their horror when the cat people can stretch like around their you know how cats can like stretch ridiculously because of their bendy
Hmm.
spines. And then they just stare in
Actually,
horror.
actually, I think it would take a while because we'd have to consult the this because while the Talmud does talk about different human genders, it doesn't talk about different species.
It does not.
Oh, that's gonna be one nightmare. But then the next set is the remedial cultural education, and then college, of which the only uh, types of education we have is biology, chemistry, communication, computer science, education, engineering, architecture, healthcare, just healthcare, medicine, just medicine, math, science, psychology, social and protective service, visual arts, performing arts.
I'm going to assume that the guy who did this went to a community college.
Where's the language? Where's the political science?
Well, you see,
Where's the religious studies?
also 10 to 60,000 per year, huh? Yeah,
Depending on the in-state, out-of-state foreign student policy.
huh?
Also, a 10-year loan payment.
Also the 10K. That's kind of funny.
Yeah. Um,
Rabbis come to a decision in a week based on new text provided by the monster Jews. I'm just envisioning the goat girl has given us their conversion of the Talmud, and they are almost exactly the same.
even has the same rabbi's name.
There's a couple of exceptions, like for example, some of the animals they don't eat is because they are of the animal, which would make it cannibalism. Like they cannot eat goat. They cannot eat include a couple of other common staples.
Crustaceans. No crab girls. No fish girls. Oh no, wait, no, we can't eat. We can eat fish. No raw. Let's see. But that's for a lighthearted universe. Now, if we go to a crap saccharine one, um, the threats are basically that you're treated like shit. You can't really replace things. Uh, People rob you. The fact that you're treated with suspicion.
Also,
There
yeah,
are
they have a
shills.
bunch of powers. They're legitimately just way stronger than humans, and this is kind of like ridiculous.
Shills, or as I would probably call them, Aunt Minervas.
Do they know about? Let's see what if they use the term shill correctly.
Uh, no, basically they're just the first newcomers are allied with corporations or political bodies in exchange for money and protection.
That's not what a shill is.
Again, I would have made an Uncle Tom parody like that.
That's what they
Come
are,
on.
basically.
Then we have the ADRI, the American Demi-Human Rights Initiative. It's a political organization working to get demi-humans included in the definition of human rights. While it may seem like an obvious and straightforward task, the complexity of politics have essentially quashed their efforts. Because they're not human.
Yeah, I don't. I like that's the best part. Like they're this is attempting to go. See, it's not racist to call them demi-human, but they always say demi-human.
Like,
What
that
what
would be.
what prevents the
Listen,
spider girl, aka the Arachne? What prevents the Arachne from saying you're a demi-Arachne?
yeah, that. If you did that, that would at least show some kind of intelligence of, like, yeah, how does this complex world work out?
What if the Lamia had their own version the term for human, which is based on like Sanskrit?
And if it is Sanskrit, how the fuck did they learn it?
And then it turns out that they actually were banished to other world during the Hindu death war that occurred in the Bhagavad Gita.
Or turns out that actually the Egyptian gods, they weren't aliens. They were just these people.
Yeah, you could do a lot of cool stuff like that, but they won't do it. And also, since they're all monster girls, you're kind of pinholing yourself to a specific niche that won't necessarily buy this book.
Um,
Especially since you don't have a
let's
lot of art for it.
let's see. These groups have started numerous clinics, law offices, and small social service programs. They've started aid programs in foreign countries. Why would you do that even before you maybe get a definition of rights established?
Don't think about it.
Meanwhile, the background bureaucrats who work for the initiative are being run ragged trying to gain funding and support. Because yeah, imagine going to a pride parade and shilling for this, or going to any other ethnic sort of festival.
I'm just envisioning them going to like a celebration of the feast of Our Lady Guadalupe and demanding the Mexican community to donate.
I know these people are competing for your jobs, but make them have actual human rights so that it's not legal to kill them. Let's see. Apparently, people are blaming violence not on racist perpetrators, but on the existence of demi-humans themselves.
There's also Trashland.
Oh, we're referencing the artificial. Oh no, it's a different thing than the giant trash.
Ellis Island, but made out of garbage.
Because that's what you're implying these people are.
Amazing.
Garbage.
Where are the
It's
demi-human intergroup
it.
conflicts? By the way, it feels like they wouldn't be a cohesive group. They shouldn't be, but this idiot is
Remember.
unfortunately going Rainbow Coalition and is ignoring
Yeah,
those tensions.
remember. All immigrants have a shared story and should all be united together. Right? Irish, Italian, Jewish, Polish, German. All those people. They all work together, right? Puerto Rican, Mexican,
I mean, an
Chinese.
excellent example of this mindset is remember this was written before the newest Intifada.
Yeah, surely we're all in solidarity with oppressed peoples around the world, right? Clearly, all of the Hispanic populations would work together and uh, to work for themselves. Cubans, Venezuelans, Haitians. Well, not technically. Well, no, they're. I guess Brazilians, Mexicans, they all have the same priorities. Because, they all look the same.
Also, again, this
Oh,
guy
crap, I
fails
just did
history.
racism.
Also, this guy, by the way, low key kind of doesn't know what the point of Ellis Island was because
It's just
Trashland
where
is
they...
more of a ghetto. It was designed to be a ghetto to keep them there.
It's a
Ellis
ghetto of
Island,
also, I believe, their own making.
yeah, also Ellis Island, that's not their point. Ellis Island was a holding area so that they could get through, make sure there's no diseases, make
Get their
sure that
names
they're back up,
changed.
yeah, their names changed up, probably get a nice meal for the first time ever in some cases.
Accidentally create a racial slur because apparently one group of people decided not to draw crosses, instead drew circles.
Yeah.
But let's go to black humor. The Gate Entry Force. Founded under the Department of Homeland Security. Yes, this is ICE, ladies and gentlemen. This is ICE, but for cat girls. And the powers have expanded with an alarming speed. It has jurisdiction over a surprising number of cases, and its powers that seem only tangentially related to its mission.
I'm just envisioning them capturing a wolf girl and forcing her to wear the happy hoodie. Like, again, if you've ever seen Girl with the Dog, it's a channel where they groom animals. I'm just envisioning Ice doing it to the monster girls. And it's really fucking funny. Because
I'm
I'm
just imagining.
imagining them doing the
Oh no,
behaviors of
I'm
the
imagining.
animal.
Unfortunately, those. I think it was during the Biden era, but the Department of Homeland Security guys whipping, on horseback, whipping the people coming across the border,
Yeah, I can see that too.
but they're whipping horse girls. Getting captured by the GETF is one thing, but it's completely different when you get captured from the GTEF by local police. Oh, oh, we're doing Waco.
Yeah, apparently.
And then we have the Citizens Patrol. Fueled by paranoia and fear and given a number of voices by conservative forums, it is growing more than ever. It is now likened to a KKK, except even more hilariously incompetent and confused. Ah, remember how hilariously incompetent they were when they were lynching people or getting into government, like they did in many states.
Ah, yeah. I mean, they
Remember,
were they
remember
were
how
completely
hilarious.
incompetent.
Remember how hilarious it was when they were marching uh, across Washington D.C. A part of the country with a large black population.
I mean, yeah, they were so embarrassing when they did their million. It was not a million man, but they did this big fucking march to a mountain to reconvene after Birth of a Nation. Yeah, that was really lame. It's
Yeah,
not
that
like it's
wasn't
not like it wasn't terrifying at all.
all those costumes. That they're just funny. It wasn't meant to terrify black people from exercising their civil rights. Now, admittedly, the fact that they named everything after a K, like having the Kleagle or having the Grand Wizard or the Grand Cyclops, that is funny. But especially when you put this in a section titled Black Humor, I, I would at least make funny names. Like the System Troll realizes they can't actually use these fantasy names because that's kind of the monsters.
No, they call themselves the normal. They call themselves Normality Patrol.
I think DC has that. I think DC might sue them.
Oh, is that an actual term?
That might actually be something from the
You might
DC
be thinking
universe.
of the well. You're thinking of Doom Patrol.
Yeah, I think they fought against some normality thing, but basically, no. Instead of inventing fantasy terms, it's the Grand Cyborg.
No, you're going cyberpunk. I'd actually go with making it as boring as non mystical as possible, where it's treated almost like a corporation.
Hi, welcome. We're the Citizens Patrol, here to protect your needs at a reliable service. At here, we're family. We're here to ensure that our families are protected.
They use the term shift manager for their officers like they just legitimately go with like corporate terms to just
Redistrib-
mundanify everything.
Redistribution of assets, aka lynchings.
KKK, there are still a surprisingly politically powerful group in certain states. Not as much as you think. They're basically moribund. It's just the sentiments haven't completely gone away in a few areas.
And new groups emerge, new groups
Yeah.
carry on, unfortunately, carry on the torch.
I mean, if they've gained
Um,
strength, you can thank the slacktivism of the 2010s for making every one of them look fucking stupid.
oh, and then here we have the kimono clubs, aka gentlemen's clubs, but for monsters. It's a freak style carnival show. It's focused exclusively on sex appeal. However, staff are hired and work of their own free will.
Wait, kimono, isn't that like a why does that sound familiar?
Well, isn't a kimono a dress? Let me type this
There's
in.
something perverted about that that's just kind of ringing in the brain.
Oh, wait, I just see kimono unveiled, exploring Japan's furry art style. It's something adult. It's
Oh, that's why. I knew it was like
artificial be yeah,
okay.
it's uh yep, it's just images of like anthropomorphized creatures. It's basically the Japanese word for furries.
We get it. You're an anime fan. How could I have not expected you to be?
Yeah. And just remember, they're doing this of their own free will.
This is just like a
It's
strip
not
joint.
coercion. It's a strip joint.
Strip joint prostitution, like it's a cat house. In
It's
this case, with
prostitution.
actual cats.
Yep. Then there's the Monster Combat Federation, an
By the
underground
way, one of the
boxing
threats.
circuit.
People's first question is that legal? No. I'm gonna be blunt,
No, because technically you're paying to watch non-humans do sex acts for you. We call that bestiality.
which is
And
illegal in all but like 3 states now, I think.
yes,
And even then, like depending on the state at this point, it would be treated as prostitution, which is also illegal. Why didn't they just go with cat house? Because they're stupid. They're stupid, and they wanted to let their weed flag fly high.
so let's see. So there's the Monster Combat Federation, otherwise known as um watching women get the shit kicked out of them.
I mean, isn't this just pro wrestling in general?
Yeah, but there's a bit of a creepiness probably to it because it's underground.
I mean, yeah, but wouldn't there be like the equivalent of that above board?
You'd
Because
have to pay them though.
no, because well, here's the thing. At this point, though, I mean, that's the thing, though. It wouldn't matter. You could just get. This doesn't make sense because there'd be a legal version. Like what I would have had instead would have been like the equivalent of backyard wrestling federations, where they'll do horribly stupid things like beat people with dildos or actually use disease-infested needles as a gimmick.
Have they done that?
There is a backyard wrestling club that legitimately one of the fights was over a pit of I think AIDS, like literally needles used by people that had AIDS.
They just, I, I feel like that should be illegal.
Yeah, backyard wrestling is it's wild. Like wrestling's
Well,
already
that
redneck soap opera in a nutshell.
yeah.
It gets
well that
even wilder when you
well
go to the
that
backyard
gives a
stuff.
new meaning to all those backyard sports games I played as a kid.
100 men versus one gorilla girl. Actually, that's why Trump was okay with letting the immigration policy for the monster girls go in, because he's funded the Gorilla Channel, which is mostly just gorilla girls beating each other up.
I finally have it. My one goal as president.
This'll be what they remember me for.
I'm
As
not.
he's just watching.
I love it so much. I love it so much. I'm not even gonna call it the Trump channel. That's a sacrifice I'm making for you.
Also, here's the other thing: since this is a martial society, they would understand blood sports. They would completely understand it. They'd like you idiot. By your own logic, they would be like for this.
Oh
You
yeah, you're right. Vince
dummy!
McMahon would be running promos in a week
He
after they
would.
understood the concept.
He would. He'd be like that would
The underwater,
completely.
well, the underwater Hell in the Cell.
Well, no, not only
Dolphins,
that, but like
octopi. We're gonna throw a shark in there with a steel chair.
Mr.
Ladies and
President, the
gentlemen,
second bird girl
wait
has
up.
hit the towers.
Ladies,
Prissy,
ladies and
no.
gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Years ago, I fought God in a tag team match against Shawn Michaels. With the existence of the Sabbath, I am now going to the other world. I am going to fight God, and I will win. Bring it! Bring it! And then Cthulhu just comes out and eats him.
Oh no. Cthulhu read the script and thought it was funny because it would drive all the viewers insane, and actually lets the guy pin him, and then eats him
But,
after the match.
well, it's like, it's gonna bring. Come on, Cthulhu! Come on! This thing in the stars, alright, I'll knock the stars out of you! You think you can take on the WWE champion? What have you got? You've been sleeping for 10,000 years. I've run the World Wrestling Championship for 20 years. Bring it. Come on.
That's the thing, though, Squirrel Killer. You say that they would need to learn how to fight bloodlessly and take dives. Given that this is like a martial society that honors honor, they would understand it, but I think they just would have a bad habit of working stiff. Basically, I don't think they'd pull their punches as much as they should. But here's the thing, Magic also allows you to just kind of, oh no, one of our wrestlers got a CTE. Well, we can just use Cure Magic to fix that.
And it looks coming out there as Yogg Sothoth, and he's won. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the king on the gate, and he has won just even before he entered the match.
It's like he knew everything that was going to happen at once and had it happen.
But moving on from that, one thing to note is that it's all probably going to go to hell. Because as we're dealing with a massive influx of population, goods start drying up, gas gets expenses, increase of suspicions, home invasions on the rise, increase of preppers, potential international action, martial law being declared, and so on.
Yeah, I mean, that's not wrong.
Absolute terror. I fled from a country burned to the ground. I watched the flames of my family. Have fled from demons and been hunted by nightmares. Do you know what really scares me? Looking into the eyes of a true detractor.
Really? Really?
Ano-
Really? The Eldritch
anonymous
Abomination?
roach pig.
Are are we going with the idea, is this like a really fucked up take on humanity? Fuck yeah.
So,
Is this like a really lame version of that?
well, we then bring up within the GETF is a sinister gang called the Paladins, who serve up only to kill monsters.
Okay.
Despite their evil intent, they're not stupid and they don't let any non-members in on their secret operations. Oh, great! This is Delta Green.
Yeah, this is just kind of a crappier version of Delta Green.
No, it is. It with access to its evil paladins to cover up murder. A lot of the kills have become a public spectacle the coalition can use to fuel fear and hatred of demi-human populations. Masters of criminal law, prosecution, and internal affairs investigations. Oh yeah, it's a literal corrupt cop organization that's aiding and abetting genocide.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of eh. If America's so
It,
bad, why don't you go back to hell? That is true, Percy. That is completely true.
then there's the Purity sect. They believe that monsters must be destroyed and returned to hell at all costs, but doing so requires a vast array of occult and religious rituals. Exorcisms, voodoo, blood sacrifices, Buddhist chants. Oh great, we're getting the Buddhists in on
A
this.
pantheistic hate group does sound interesting to have as a
Oh
setting aspect.
no, they're responsible for multiple violences in Southeast Asia. Oh, they're gonna have a wonderful time.
Amazing. Also, poison gas. Nice nod to Aum Shinrikyo.
What's more disturbing is the gas can be traced back to a dictator in the Middle East. No. No, we're not going back to Iraq. No.
He accidentally predicted another forever war in the sandbox.
Wait, no. Wait a minute. This is 2017. No, we're going to Syria. We finally crossed the red line in the sand. Trump could do it. Obama couldn't. Or whoever's the president now, since there's been 3 impeachments. Then there's kennel clubs, which is essentially rape dungeons.
Yeah, I don't
It's
really
it's
need to.
prostitution.
No, it's not even
Great
prostitute.
naming.
It's basically third world prostitution, where they're essentially kept under prison by pimps.
And surge camps.
By the way, this is supposed to be the horrible stuff. Okay. Let me tell you about a little something something called the Bunraku Theater from Shadowrun. That makes kennel clubs look like a fucking night at the country club. Because at least
Oh no.
in a kennel club, while they're still abused to hell and back, they still have some freedom of thought and mind. Not so with a Bunraku parlor.
Yeah. No, here's the worst thing. The surge camps. While no state in the Union has been tyrannical enough to round up all demi-humans on sight, the same is not true of other nations.
Well, at least the other nations are
Such
capable of atrocities.
such camps are usually terminal, because governments that start them are not the sort of governments that are bound to pass legislation to grant them protections. Oh great, death camps.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of just, yeah.
Yeah, it's death camps.
Threats. A new surge camp has been started right here in the States. Okay.
And by some, ironically, you're paying attention to fund the creation of a detention camp for yourself.
I kind of like how they say this is something other nations do, and then what they do is like, and then America does that, because most of the examples they give are American related.
See the implication? See? Do you not get the message we're subtly trying to tell you?
The You're not subtle, and on top of that, by screaming the message, people will legitimately go with the thing that you're scared about just to say fuck you because you're so annoying.
But then we have the coalition,
That is
made up of
legitimately what has happened.
yep, made up of a cabal of insecure but powerful politicians. It is shaping up to be the national standard for defending the country from outsiders. They're claiming minority races in the U.S. The worst members have taken the opposition to the search and integration to the next level and are claiming minority races in the U.S. are nothing less than monsters invading our country.
This is just Senator Trask and the fucking government agency that essentially created the Sentinel Task Force from the X-Men. Try something different, loser.
But no, we already have these people in the country. They already exist. Oh, that's the point.
I read this in an X-Men comic like ages ago, and this isn't that creative. Oh, hey,
All
look,
right.
another rare piece of art.
Also, the Freedom of Private Enterprise Act has passed. Now, corporations are given unabashed right to discriminate in any way they see fit. It's not only a blow to demi-humans, but also millions of minority groups, American humans as well.
You mean the ones
Uh,
that they're competing with job-wise?
Also, how fucked is the country if we're able to overturn the Civil Rights Act like that?
Amazingly so. And this is an example of this guy not having a fucking clue on how anything works. He probably thinks the president's like a dictator. I genuinely think the author thinks that.
Well, him and a lot of the American public, but
Yeah, but it takes time to dismantle that shit to actually make it
yeah.
so. Maybe
Also,
stop.
yeah,
Maybe get rid of that executive order shit, or make it only temporary, like it used to be, dumbass.
yeah, but here she is, the Silver Fox, ready for the cage match of the century, fighting the Hamster Woman. It's not just a cage match; it's a fight on the wheel.
That actually would be funny as shit to see. No, that
Now,
actually sounds a hell of a lot more interesting now that I think about it. Like fucking Street Fighting Monster Girls actually sounds like a way more interesting book than this piece of shit.
you heard the meme. We're bringing it here. One gorilla, 100 men. Who wins?
That would be fantastic. That actually, no, like if you did something equivalent to like MMA slash WWE and it's with monster girls, I think that'd be fucking fun. Or not just monster girls, just monster people in general. That actually slaps. That could actually be a pretty good RPG.
We're calling it Wa Night, sponsored by Games Workshop.
No, no. The best part is you see the announcers, and one of them is clearly like like an orc chick with fucking CTE. Like you know how they sometimes, as a gag, have like a former fighter, and they just have weird, rambling nonsense conversations about things not doing with the fight at all.
Yeah.
Oh god, that'd be fantastic.
Oh no, no, we're sponsoring. It's gonna be Blizzard Entertainment. It's gonna be Bethesda Softworks. It's Games Workshop, and finally New Line Studios. We're gonna see who's the best orc.
No, no, no. At one point, they get a guest announcer, and it's Todd Howard. It's like 16 times the arena size, 16 times the blood sports weapon options. It just works. Ah,
There
that's
needs to be more
fantastic.
more books on fantasy pro wrestling. I mean, technically there's Blood Bowl, but that's just fantasy football.
There's a few. There's a few that I can think of, but they're not as elaborate as they could be. And I think there was an aborted WWE RPG at one point.
Let's see. So now we have basically modern archetypes and new moves for your character to do. Get ready
Basically,
to
this is the stuff
get
that you have to have heroin the first stage to go through. We don't, so screw it.
a romantic. When you spend romantic time with somebody, choose to either heal them up, they gain +1 ongoing for a few hours, they take a relationship with you, or they mark 1 experience.
Oh, we're skipping office worker and odd jobber.
I'm
Fair
just going.
enough. So
Which,
again, unlike Vince Baker, it took this guy at least a couple of examples before going here.
yep, too kinky to torture. When you have more 1 marked health star, you take +1 to social moves and moves to resist revealing information.
By the way, all of their
Yep,
moves are literally named after stuff on TV trope.
yep, that's a, he's a bondage guy.
This is the stuff you need. You need magic. You need magic painkillers to solve. Maybe laborer, which is just your day,
It, it's
which
a
is just
bunch
your
of,
day person.
all this is just a bunch of situational moves.
Oh, hey, look, Iron Butt Monkey. You know you're not supposed to use like the terms, right? I think they might be trademarked on the site.
Can they trademark that?
Uh,
I mean,
I
they're not.
I know
I
that
mean,
you can't use it as if you're wondering there. Besides TV tropes, there's an other website called All Our Tropes, and what happened was that one died because TV tropes basically changed the rights to how you can attribute stuff from them to make it a little more difficult. So they couldn't just scrape the website and use the terms. That's why All Our
uh,
Tropes died. So this might be like a legal thing. I would never have done this just in case.
I mean, didn't our other book that we talked about, our last part where
Bloodstained
they talked
Love
about this
was
book,
fucking guilty as sin for doing this, and it's just as bad here.
and yes, all this is just a bunch of moves you can do.
And they're named after TV trope ideas, and
Yeah.
that's just fucking lame.
Uh, However, because you're now in the modern world, you also get to uh, track of monthly debts and monthly income. Isn't this exciting?
Oh, you're skipping the special powers?
Yes.
Fair enough. Money.
And it turns out
Wait a minute.
in the other world,
This is like oh man, this is like a cavalcade of all of the other stuff we looked at in the past because this is reminding me of Hardwired Island. Don't you remember that amazing book?
oh yeah,
I
uh,
could I could hear the desperation and sadness in your voice, and I don't blame you.
I don't want to see another coffee shop. Stop another anime coffee shop.
Well, here's the other problem. Remember how they had all those cat girl cafes and cat cafes? Guess
But
what?
those were humans.
No,
Those were
not
actual.
anymore. We could get cat girls. They're both a
Okay,
maid and the cat you can pet for an extra
okay,
fee.
I'm centering myself back on the stupid world building because apparently 1 gold coin is worth about $1,000.
That might be
Currently,
based
the
on the
price
weight.
currently the price of gold is $3,000 per ounce.
Oh yeah, it should be worth more than that. Although,
Yeah,
depending on the purity of the gold, this is probably a low carat gold.
yeah.
Why does treasure
About
sell for less?
I don't know what a well, I guess it's one treasure worth of
What
something.
does treasure mean?
I don't know. Equipment. Let's see.
You need respect
Respect.
like Saints Row. This is the weirdest Saints Row mod I've ever seen.
Oh, you do because you need to apply for a license. So I guess the only way to now get so you don't need to pay fees to get a license. You just need to have respect. You see, I know that guy. I can vouch for him. Give him a liquor license. Yes, he's 18, but he's just so damn good.
I'm just envisioning the 11-year-old Fox girl getting her hands on an Uzi, like an illegally modified Uzi, and just dancing with childish glee out of the out of the shop.
Listen, she's a very good dancer. She gains a lot of respect for that. Also, she did throw poop at people's houses.
I'm just
Massive
I'm just
respect.
envisioning the gun shop owner going, "Oh God, the ATF's gonna destroy me, aren't they?" Oh, almost certainly. You just hear the Uzi firing in the background as she's cackling in glee.
Yeah. Let's see. It's also difficult for demi-humans to get license. Question: Isn't this America?
There are licensing things that you have to go through.
Oh yeah, that's right. Why? I fired gun. How the? I should know this.
What do you like? I mean, here's the thing though. They could probably get away with going to a gun show because depending on the right, this is before they became a lot stricter because of the lockdown requirements and stuff like that, and a couple of spree shootings. So
Mhm.
they might be able to get away with being of repute at a gun store, but it would still be linked to the seller,
Yeah. Let's see.
and they'd still usually and ideally should check for felonies.
Apparently though in this society we can now sell automatic rifles.
Well,
It's fully
technically,
automatic.
oh, interesting.
It says assault rifle, and you know based on his level of education, he does not know the difference.
He says that automatic, so it's not modified for civilian purpose. I guess in this timeline, one of the presidents before they got impeached was able to repeal some of the firearms acts that were made. Oh, was it was it the 34 Act that banned machine guns,
Yeah.
or was it like a Reagan law? I don't remember.
Listen, listen. I'm Snake Man Ted Cruz, and I think we should be.
I'm about to get
In,
impeached. I don't give a shit. I'm
and
legalizing.
in order to protect my ass, I am instead going to legalize the ability to own machine guns. Because when those giant women with tits and scales come at you, you'll need as many bullets as possible to mow them down.
Look, I've only been president for 6 months, and I maybe got another month and a half before you throw me in the slammer. But
Why is this game bothering with monthly budgeting? Realism?
to pretend that they're one with the struggle, man, and like
Listen,
I'm doing this for the politics. I'm not doing this because I get off on the image of a snake girl holding a fucking bazooka.
listen, listen. When we're role playing as uh people in Madame Corax's, pleasure palace, we need to also make sure that that when we're paying, we get the right rates, that we're doing the regular healthcare checkups. It, I can't get hard unless I know that we're accounting for 5-year budgetary plans.
Look,
That we're
I may have made Hiss Pliskin as punished snake, and she has an assault rifle because of Ted Cruz legalizing it before being sent to prison. But look, I need to figure out how many chimichangas I can eat that are made with real rat meat before I have to start budgeting, man. This is
I,
very
it,
important for me.
there's no. That's my fetish. You thought the fetish was the cat girls and bondage. No, it's efficient monthly budgeting.
I'd insert a Jewish joke here, but that's a little too obvious.
I said efficient.
Fair enough.
Let's see, firearm license fees $50.
That's pretty cheap for a firearms license.
Desktop gaming setup 1,500,
Amusing.
but a gaming laptop is 2,000. How the fuck is a desktop cheaper than a laptop?
Oh, I can explain that. It's because of portability and miniaturization. Because the performance on
Uh,
a laptop is usually lower than a desktop because you can only fit so much machinery in a box that's carryable.
wait, let's see.
Especially if you want
Passport.
things like efficient cooling.
Passport, $100. A fake identity, though, is $5,000. Says here you're from the state of Alagata. Oh, I mean Arkansas.
I'm just envisioning this very confused wolf girl who's like dyslexic saying, "It was supposed to be Arkansas." It gets elbowed by one of the many arms of the octopus girl. Yeah, Arkansas. That's what it was. The state bureau screwed it up. Well, it is Arkansas. They're the dumbest fucking state in the union. You can
Yeah.
pass.
Wait a minute. It's a picture of a human woman. Well, it's a good thing I'm farsighted.
It's a good.
Welcome aboard.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing that I forgot my No, no, no. It's dang it. I knew I should have gotten my glasses today. I'm legally blind without them.
Also, flaws. And we do also have, I can see at least another TV tropes. Values dissonance.
Quality.
Horny. Someone attractive catches your eye and keeps it. You're caught not paying attention to the right thing. You manage to offend somebody just by looking at them. I mean, yeah, you were looking at the small child and licking your lips, and you're a wolf girl. Put two together.
It gets more fucked up when you realize she says it reminds me of of my twin sons that I raised.
Uh, Also, you can get the flaw depression.
I like how depression's a flaw.
Yeah. Also, pay attention that for flaws, we instead have a cat girl, a very young looking cat girl, most likely teenager or younger,
I would say
getting a credit
late
card.
preteen. I would say late
Yeah,
preteen, like
getting
last year of middle school or freshman in high school. Like we're talking 12 to 14, getting handed a credit card by a weirdo, by the arm that looks like an ugly bastard. Maybe there's just something intrinsically disturbing about this art for me. I kind of
I
hate
will
this, and I imagine if the writer tried to correct the record, they'd say she's actually like 200 years old, so it's fine.
yeah, I do want to bring up the comments here from uh, Princess. A poison dart frog girl will just use a toxin to make new hallucinogens and make fat stacks. So they can criminalize my hell world toxins. And then from Alice from our, I'm not a frog girl, I'm just French. And then Squirrel Killer, quote my GF on this book and its lack of art. How am I supposed to get off to political ranting? I think she's onto something. The real fetish is politics. Monster Girls is a smokescreen.
Darcy, yeah, the red flag is the art.
Yeah.
There's just something disturbing about this to me. There's just something intrinsically disturbing. Like, come on inside, little girl. Come inside my windowless van. Yeah.
Well, I will say this. If it's politics, it should be good politics. I can't get off unless I know that I'm talking about very intricate, deep philosophical issues involving post-neocolonialism, um, radical feminism.
Look, I can't get off on things until we talk about about the free trade market versus protectionism. We have to do trade deal laws.
Oh,
In fact, actually, you can thank the Phantom Menace for being responsible for this because the taxation on trade routes, it did something wrong with my brain. I've not been able to get it fixed ever since.
listen, the Trump administration, they're just blue balling me. 90 days. I'm edging for 90 days. Also, looking at all these expenses that they have for the rules of the New World, don't you love how they say a small house is just a down payment of $5,000 to $40,000?
Aw, that's delusional. Aw.
Ah, remember, this was 8 years ago.
This was 8 years ago, and this is probably in places back when it was only average. You can't get mortgage like that unless you go to the sticks now.
Though you could get no rent if you just become a scientific experiment. You know? Fun.
Amazing. I like how a large
Like,
house, the down payment is as low as 20K. That's ridiculous.
also, why are you giving us stats how to purchase a bomber or a fighter or a warship? I We're supposed to be broke and on our
I'm just envisioning. I'm just now
broken,
envisioning.
desperate, you know, monster girls.
No,
How
no.
how the
I'm just envisioning this wolf monster chick blowing all of her gold on getting a fighter plane, just with like the nose cone art of Born to a Woo.
and it's like, wait a minute, I don't know how to fly.
No, no. And she doesn't. She chooses to
Hmm.
try to fly it anyway, and it just goes horribly wrong. I think this is slightly based on Shadowrun, but only for like
Goodness.
an idea on what you. Yeah, yeah. This is like what
Mm,
they want to kind of do with.
You're right. Apartment does read like a threat.
It does.
You could hear the neighbors doing whatever it is they're doing, and they can hear you too.
I've got no
The ri-
ID. I don't have a home. I don't have regular food, but I have a stealth bomber.
and that's all I need.
What a fucking
But then guess what we learn? The exciting way of getting a job.
employment.
You know, the application process. You know, the part that's going to be the longest. Then the
Oh
first
boy.
impressions, the technical know-how, the teamwork personality, and then not getting the job, not even knowing.
That's it's interesting they decided to waste an entire
A
page on
pay.
this.
Now they're wasting 2 pages on monthly pay for different positions with tags and costs.
Monthly pay, dude. No, they usually do it bi-weekly. What the fuck? Like every 2 weeks. It's usually like that, bi-monthly.
Yeah. Also remember, this was 2017 dollars.
Yeah,
And then part-time, basically, I guess you receive half of that. For Simplicity 6, if you get a raise, multiply your monthly pay by 105%.
that's not how raises usually work. It varies depending on who they. It's usually
You know,
just like a flat dollar, or
I
like
remember I saw a comment earlier, someone talking about, is this like fatal? We're getting there.
we're getting there. This is weirdly arbitrary, and I think this is just the dude like having a mental breakdown about his own position in life,
And then we get taking out a loan and the terms, as well as payments,
which also
debts.
includes interest percentages if you want to try hard enough.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't do calculations for savings.
Look at all of this effort put into this entire section. It's kind of it's almost admirable, but it's also like, why the fuck is this here? I
No, they are. They are. There's an entire table talking about how much your savings increase over time with bonds, CDs, long-term investment, diversified stock portfolio.
what
I
the fuck?
What the consequences of criminal records? Which, funny enough, putting things like fraud, burglary, vehicular homicide, animal cruelty, rape, and sexual assault as a felony, but excessive felonies are only treason, murder, manslaughter, and kidnapping.
That's called capital crime. It's known as a capital crime mainly because this is the crime that traditionally gives you life sentences or death sentence. But yeah, if you're wondering, raises traditionally are either done by a percentage based on your average, like what you're expected, or it can be done just based on a flat increase in per dollars per hour. Currency per hour is sometimes how they do it as well. They usually base it on percentages, and you can only go up to like X amount usually.
Then then we get this thing called agendas and the supervillain club.
No, you forgot the weird part where after the crime they just talk about stun damage for no reason.
I, Yeah.
There's a brief bit about stun damage after that long basic intro to Economics 101, micro and macro. Well, not even macro, microeconomics,
Then we have
as well as a
a
little bit
giant
about the
tower.
justice system. That ain't bad
I
for something that was kind of banged out. This feels like it was banged out pretty quickly, but they did a pretty good job. I'll give credit. I like it.
I will say, yeah.
It's simple, but I like it. Like
Then
it's simple graphic art, but I kind of like
then
this.
they bring up like this thing called a supervillain club. I guess this is just the GM section.
Maybe. Oh yeah, it is.
It is, because they give us the GM moves. With various things like, if you're doing a hilarity assist, you just say. Sometimes people miscommunicate or misunderstand.
By the way,
It's
at this
craft
point,
stack.
they introduced acronyms. ALM means America Land of Monsters. Heroine First Stage is HFA. Just
Yeah,
for no reason, they decided to do that.
craft saccharine. We just get a suitor backs out because of race, and I think they're just talking about monster girls and not actual real world race.
No, no. Actually, what would be funnier is if the Minotaurus says, "No, I can't date you." Why? Because you don't look
Because you're
her.
black.
Yeah, you're black.
Listen, I hate to break it to you. Every universe is racist. Every universe. There is no utopia.
Yakub infested all of the multiverse with his war against you, man. I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's right. The Nation of Islam. It's Yakubian Islam. That's the real Sabbath. Let's see. Absolute terror. Anti-terrorism team attacks. The force of darkness fills through the gate. Or abuse happens. Or just someone goes a little yandere.
I love how it's first terrorists attack and then anti-terrorism team attack. Also, the last one being just someone goes a little lovesick.
Yeah, I mean, anti-terrorism could be terrifying if it's a Russian anti-terrorism team. You're not going to survive if you're a civilian.
Now, in fairness, a true terror thing could be like you just have a serial killer that's going after them because they're monster girls. Not even out of
Oh
a
no,
racial thing, out of like a demented fetish thing.
it's fucking Buffalo Bill, but he's actually skinning Buffalo girls.
Or alternatively, you see, I just realized it. If I assemble all of the fantastical parts, I can become a god.
I can become a skinwalker,
I could become God.
just like my hero Samuel Haight. They give us on
Sure,
how
Tommy,
to.
please forgive me. It could never work between us, not because you're a rabbit girl, but because you're black. And then the rabbit girl just like stomps her feet in frustration, saying, "It's my fur, it's my color morph, you idiot! It's the light amount of fur around my body, you dummy." Shaves a bit, and her skin is actually the same color as most of the other rabbit girls. It's like just they have like very thin felt around their bodies.
No, rabbit girls have their own colorism. Or would it be color furism?
I'm just envisioning that with cat girls, and they just treat orange cats as like the Valley Girl idiots of their group.
Yeah. So
Either
as they go
either
on to
that
talk,
or the ones that are most prone to choose violence.
yeah, as they go on to talk about, I guess, GMing, I would like to bring attention to page 102, playing with romance,
Oh, oh boy.
in which they give us several situations such as a straight up harem, couple building, external romance, or a limited scope. Maybe the character just wants to be the Casanova as a complete hedonist, as an incubus or a succubi, or as my OC.
And you can play this for drama or for flavor.
And they do. The tropes and traits might include accidental pervert. It's not what it looks like. Really gets around. These are fucking TV tropes.
They don't even
Just
have.
out,
This is terrible.
just outright fucking stole it. much like I believe they stole the artwork that comes up. I feel like that's traced.
It might be.
Then we finally get to the creatures, beings, demons, monsters the GM can field against the PCs, as well as their power rating.
Why are they called
A
enemies
human
of the snake?
enemies of the state parody, but you can. And why did you do this? They give us the rules for us for a human child. Y- You know the one. You know the rule of RPGs. If you stat it, they will kill it.
Oh no.
If people
Oh
can, if
no.
you, there are rules to kill Cthulhu, they're gonna start killing children.
Oh no.
Well, then they give us, besides the regular people, they give us corporate overlords. Save Fast, a major grocery store that actually does hire demi-humans, the traitors that they are.
Sell food, but skimp in every possible way.
Yep. Um, Kahuna Burger.
Because they can't afford to be picky, they hire about anyone leading a fast turnover. Nonetheless, it's rare to find
No,
grocery stores willing to
no,
sell food for them.
no. Just they have a restaurant called Kahuna Burger.
That's a real place actually.
Oh, I thought it was a Pulp Fiction reference.
It might be. It might have been a politician reference, but I vaguely remember there are
No.
places
I
called
didn't say.
Kahuna Burger.
I said pop culture. Yeah, Pulp Fiction.
Oh yeah, yeah. Actually, I think it's a real. It might be like there's a real restaurant called that, but that's probably where they got it from.
Yeah. Then there's Global Mart.
Well, you don't want to read
Uh,
any of these companies.
I am reading through them.
I don't
It's just
understand. Why are the people sad? You said they work here. Don't they know what kind of riches and wonders are on these shelves? It's Amazon, basically.
yeah, it's Amazon. Sears Incorporated. Uh, shipping, trucking, delivery, logistics company.
That one might be like Lyft or Uber.
No, it's large scale.
Ah, that's also could be a nod to Amazon. It's just a shipping firm.
Could be. I'm gonna go with a Disco Elysium reference and just
Or
say it's Wild
Sears. It could be
Pines.
a reference to Sears.
But aren't they electronics?
No, Sears used to like back before weird objectivists hijacked Sears and drove it into the ground. It was almost like the American Zaibatsu. You could get almost
Ah,
anything in Sears. Appliances, home goods, basic products, clothing, and you could even buy houses from them, fully pre-constructed houses. They actually at one point was one of the chief real estate moguls of the US, having more property than most other companies did. And that was actually one of the things that destroyed them because they basically foisted off all of the property their stores were on, turning them into rental agreements because
oh.
a lot of their plots of land were places where their stores were.
But then we bring up Purity Sect. I'm sure I don't have to tell you, gentle folks, what I've come before you today to talk about. There's a blight on our country, an infection in the blood of America. Demons walk this land, out there, in broad daylight, and they think that we'll turn a blind eye to them, but we won't. We will cast them out, vanquish and destroy them. We will render this land pure once again.
Okay. I mean,
Uh,
what else can I say? Okay.
yeah. It's apparently been declared a hate group by the SPLC and the ACLU.
No shit.
Oh no, they've been doing bombing campaigns on American soil.
Yeah,
They're not just a hate group. They're a fucking terrorist group.
yeah, they'd be crushed. I'm sorry, dude.
Yeah, the government would shoot them on sight.
By the way, it's kind of annoying that it's again, I get it because this is America, majority of the country is Christian. It's just kind of eh, especially since on top of that, this is very much a Protestant denomination, I imagine.
Well, they have their own messiah. So no, they're not even. So
Th-
not only are they a terrorist
This
hate
is
group,
this is clown
they're
shit.
also a, they're also a heretical sect. Imagine hating. Catgirl so much that you willingly claim that there is a new messiah.
Pagan pilots' eyes are glazing over when these RPGs describe their corporations. I actually find it interesting when they do it right. These just kind of suck.
Then we have Gedif.
Ice. This is space. This is fantasy ice.
Oh no. Motivation. Secure gates. Contain demi-humans. Protect the American population. Fuck you, it's not the SCP Foundation. Oh no, it is.
Oh.
They have a director. Oh,
Oh,
come
that's
on. Come on.
boo.
Boo.
Boo. Boo them, chat. Boo. You couldn't
Y-
even come up with something unique yourself. Jesus
It's ice.
Christ.
Learn what ice does.
Ugh.
Um,
I think my
then we have
depiction of ice made more sense, and I was just doing it as a shitpost for like fucking grooming animals.
then we have the McNeil Corporation. Make the most powerful and reliable anti-demi arsenal. Labeled a cheap knockoff by their competitor Stark, McNeil is a defense firm that's
By their
recently.
competitor Stark. Watch
Yeah.
another series of movies, you bum.
What's his name? Anthony?
Boo!
Uh, they also use test subjects.
No shit.
So, and then we have the Paladins. We know justice when we see it. It's time for us to fight back, to take a stand. The world just became a war zone. Whose
You know,
side are you on?
you know what would make this just as lame, by the way, with the Paladins? You know what they should do? They should have commissioned Art of It and just had them wear Punisher skulls, because fuck it.
Yeah.
Just say fuck it and go
Actually, hold
hard
on,
on
wait a
them.
minute. Just call them Punishers.
At this point, might as well.
Then we have Bryant Taylor Incorporated, which is a pharmaceutical company that
Big
has
Pharma,
purchased
evil,
nearly
no shit.
70% of the multinational drug company stock in the past 10 years. Their current goal is a biological teardown of all human, demi-human subspecies, which to build the more important viable drugs for humanity, to make the ultimate weapon.
This is just Pentex, but shit.
Well, I was going to say Umbrella.
It's Umbrella slash Pentex, but shit.
Then the Coalition.
I mean, don't get me wrong, this
Wait
is
a
at
minute.
least kind of interesting.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Kind of,
Wait a minute.
but not really.
You said at the beginning that this is like Riffs but dumber. Fucking coalitions and Riffs!
Do they wear skull masks too?
I don't know if they do in this game.
Oh, please tell me they have skull robot walkers.
I if they do, all is forgiven. I know them. They're basically just taking the tropes and
This is
just
just
running with it.
riffs, but sad.
But no, it's a stratum of super powerful, ultra elite, mega rich that live very nearly live on another plane from the rest of us. They bankroll wars, destabilize religions, forge secret alliances.
Ryder, you are aware that the things you're preaching about are the things that the fascists you're decrying often
This
talk
is
about
Alex
too, right?
Jones.
Yeah.
This
What
is
the
what Alex
fuck?
Jones. Um.
Oh no,
Then
you have wrong thought, writer of America Land of Monsters. You shall be banished forth hence.
yes, Princess, you're right. They are cutting into the frog girl toxin drug market.
That's another thing they could have done that I think would have been interesting. They could have had as one of the organizations like a demi-human drug cartel.
And let's see.
Come on,
We
wouldn't that
have
be like
here.
neat? Like, or not even a drug cartel. How about an alchemy guild, like an illegal alchemists guild of demi-humans that essentially are criminals for hire?
Ah,
That could
and
be interesting.
they call themselves Thin Bloods.
You know, it took me like a good 10 seconds to realize you were trying to piss me off.
Yes. But next up, though, are people problems.
Oh
So
boy.
these are NPCs. Candace Sparrow. She's a TV host, celebrity commentator on the commentator on the Surge, famous for her child's discussion, inflammatory remarks, of avid personality. It's Tucker Carlson.
Combination of Tucker Carlson slash your
Well,
average loser talking head
yeah,
that no one watches. I think she's supposed to be more of a parody of Ann Coulter, if anything else.
you're right. You're right. Yeah. This is 2017 though, so
No,
you would
no,
have been.
Candace Owens. It's supposed to be Candace Owens.
Well, no, this is before Candace Owens got popular.
I don't know. I think it might be because Candace Sparrow,
You would think, but remember, 2017. I'm presuming this guy isn't
colder
that
than.
involved in, yeah, online politics. So then
I
we
I
have
feel like he's the type of person that only knows about politics because of online politics. That's why I thought about it.
yeah, Phoenix and Christian Watts. They're loud, obnoxious. They don't take out the trash. Um, so these are just neighbors.
These are just
These are just,
Karens.
yep. Senator Selena Lawens. She loves demi-humans. She's your senator, is doing everything she can to help newcomers adjust to the good old USA. The truth,
Oh, Deputy Merriweather from Zootopia. That's the ripoff that this is. The sheep lady
really,
that betrays. Yeah, it's the sheep lady that
uh,
backstabs
yeah,
the.
she hates demi-humans. She promotes mandatory
Yeah,
education, brainwashing, electric shock therapy.
yeah.
She believes all demi-humans must immediately convert to American culture and her church to be saved from their sins.
Okay, they twisted it a bit. Okay, good, good. I
Yeah,
would have
to
fucking
her,
accused you even
demi-human
more.
cultures from other world are abomination. A bunch of barbarous tribes hunting and murdering each other in complete anarchy.
She might be right. We don't know. You've never described
Yeah.
Otherworld. I mean, it's horrible.
Victoria. Yeah. Let's see. Victoria Draper. You stay away from Vicky, demon fuck. She's my girl. Keep your filthy, evil hands off her and get the fuck out of here.
Could you play a
Oh, she.
skeleton girl in the coalition states, skulls and all?
Oh,
Oh yeah, I
well,
mean,
no, because
if no, Undertale did come out like before this, so you probably could do a Rule 63 of one of those two boneheads. They are monster girl. They are monsters after all.
let's see. Though Victoria, she's just a stalker.
Yeah.
And then Sergeant George Otterbury. So he's the average guy. Problem is his daughter is dating a Dehu. Since he has experience talking with them, he doesn't understand much of the finer points of newcomer lives. So he's likely to fly off the handle when his truth is revealed.
It's just
Oh,
guess
great.
who's coming to dinner. It's
Yeah,
guess who's coming to
but with
dinner slash fucking
but with
Archie
but
Bunker.
with yeah, but with monster girls and lesbians. Oh, I'd hold on. I'd fuck it Archie Bunker. Oh, look who the cat dragged in. Yo, I take offense to that.
No, no. She then says, I'm not a cat. I'm a hyena." I mean, they're like cats, aren't they? No, no.
Well, what's the difference? And then it's like Archie whispers, "What?" And the laugh track.
Yeah.
Uh, Inspector. Let's see, Inspector Rolf Botwright. He could be easily mistaken for a zombie now that demi-humans are known to
Well, we
exist.
know zombie girls are a thing, so yeah, you could if you want to roll 63 fucking papyrus or sands, you could totally do it. You could
Yep.
totally do it.
Clayton Sloan Randall. The Horn Collector. He's a serial killer. He targets female demi-humans. Wait a minute. So this means there are male demi-humans. Put them the fucking, put them in the fucking art.
This might be a normal human actually.
Yeah, no, no. I'm saying this is a normal human, but by saying that there are female demi-humans, there are male ones.
Oh yeah, you've
We have
implied that. Why didn't you have one or two? That'd be cool.
cater to the women audience or the gay audience.
You are aware that that the furry audience would pay a lot of money to put one of their fucking OCs into this book, right?
Yeah. Let's see. Ned Erickson is an agent with the GETF. Lauren Garrett is uh, an assassin, usually for the Coalition.
These characters are kind of boring.
Yep. Valentin Werner Ivanov, Russian American business magnate, CEO and investor.
I wonder why they're Russian.
I don't know.
It's not like there was a weird conspiracy. That is not the first time a Politico that lost an opponent pushed. No, seriously,
Then
fun
there,
fact, Hillary
yeah,
Clinton has pushed a lot of conspiracy theories that became
yep,
popular, like
yep.
birtherism and the Russia thing.
Yep. Then we have, I guess, the creatures that also come from the other world, which proves that that is a hell dimension.
Yeah, I mean, you're just proving the murderous anti-demi-human guy is right.
The Knife of Whimsy. It's an unconscious knife. It's the pain you feel when life uses irony against you. Then there's the hate monger.
That's a
Part daughter of primordial chaos, part weapon created by the Great Dark One. It's a mimetic virus that pervades almost all races, cultures, and people.
no,
All
it's a
space and time,
Fantastic
all
Four
world.
villain. It's also a
She's the
clone of
cause of
Adolf Hitler.
she's the cause of war, the mother of fear, and the enemy of utopia. It's the fucking hate plague from Transformers.
It's funny because the hate monger in general is an actual Marvel character, and the character's gimmick is he is a cloned Adolf Hitler that essentially had his consciousness survive due to Arnim Zola, who essentially invented a way to agitate hatred in a person so that he could
But
create riots.
but now imagine that with tits.
It's like the worst combination of that and Genova.
Then we have the foul legions.
These are some really shitty Eldritch abominations.
They are the minions of the
You're
Great
right,
Dark
it's the
One.
hate plague from the X-Men. You're completely right, Darcy. No, you're right.
But X-Men
That's yeah,
X-Men
it's
have
the
their
hate
own hate
plague.
plague.
Yeah, yeah. I believe it had something to do with Apocalypse. Yeah, that's it. That is fucking spot on.
So I mean, at this point, just go full Japanese and just call them demon lords at this point.
That would have been more interesting, like if you base it on like really powerful Japanese yokai.
Then we have the Great Dark One, an evil force consuming worlds and laying low civilizations so a farmer cuts grain. Oh,
This
it's
is
the
just
darkness from Destiny.
it's just Dormammu.
The World Ender's armies. Yeah. His only concern is the Knife of Whimsy, though.
That was pretty terrible.
Then we
Then we
we
got a
come up
Red
on
Oni, who is
and then
apparently a
we
British agent.
and then we come up on actual conspiracies for some reason. Project Blue Book, Roswell, JFK, Eye of Providence, the Freemasons, Scientology, which actually in this universe might be real, big core, big corporations, Charles Manson, chemtrails, black helicopters, Illuminati, reptilians.
Why is this all here?
Why? Why?
It's really just copying Monsters Musume now. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome,
Also,
Darcy.
apparently there are so many different worlds and nations described by the newcomers that an entire wiki has been written documenting their existence. Oh wow, I would love to see that wiki.
That would actually be nice to have had earlier so that we can get an idea on what their settings are like.
So we have Entopia, paradise world of merfolk and other fish and
Fish people,
reptile,
fish and reptile people.
and Balefrust, mammalians, bears, wolves, cats, and some reptilians and avians.
Also, apparently they got
Jordanheim,
destroyed by the King of Ice and
yep.
Glaciers.
Jordanheim,
Oh, we're skipping
arthropods,
Bale first.
reptiles, yeah, and avians.
Don't you
The
like how
goal,
all the monster people come from like one set and then another set? Did a furry write this?
yes, the goalish steppe, and then the dead gods of the other worlds. Almaril, a sea goddess. Cendric, reptilian god of song, dance, and romance.
This is ass.
Fiera, holy light and flame. Get it? She
Fiera,
has
yeah.
fire in her name. Leoris, mammalian god of hierarchy, family, and
Leoris,
order.
Leo, like, try harder, idiot.
Uragon, Uragon, princess of flame, dragon goddess, sired by the Dark
If you
One.
just replace the letters Y and U and put a D, you get dragon, and it's the dragon.
And then the languages of the other world, which I assume these are all different languages.
What's the point of adding this?
Some of these are actual names, it looks like.
I think this might be a heroin the first age thing, but this is so stupid.
And that's it, the end.
Yeah, it ended as it started, as a wet fart. Bwamp, bwamp.
But these are one of my favorite kind of things. These wet farts with horrifying world building implications because none of these people understand politics.
It is very fascinating to see to see someone not understand the consequences of having gates open up more and more. Also, keep in mind there are eldritch abominations chasing them too.
Oh, yeah.
So honestly, it's just making the racists correct.
So as we're all killing each other over race wars, then the Dark One shows up and kills us all.
Isn't that fantastic? They accidentally proved the racism right. And Squirrel Killer says that those read like the D&D deities, at least the 5th edition ones, or no, just D&D deities in general, kinda, but those actually still have more lore than that. Like, just read up Hieronius, for example. There's more lore in him than any of the gods that we looked at today.
Oh, wait a minute, I get it now. The Great Dark One is a metaphor for climate change.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised.
No, actually, it makes sense because think about it. Refugees are leaving these worlds, they're getting destroyed, their climates are getting disrupted, and now they're forced to be in the United States, and the hate that's being generated perhaps attracts the Great One. So it's just, if we just lived in peace and harmony, everything would be right.
I hate death cults. So all in all, this book's not really playable. I can't really call it playable. It actually needs the heroines of the first
I
stage to
mean,
really
yes,
work.
it's a setting book. It's a setting book, first and foremost.
As a
And it's just
setting book, I would just rate it as not even playable. I'd rate it like as garbage, but not like in a harsh way.
and you know what actually is really disappointing? Where are the stats for playing as the Monster Girls?
I think it's expected that you have heroin in the first stage because that's where all the monster girl splats are. At least that's my guess. I don't know. I think it's kind of egregious that you made such a radical splat and still tried to tie it to the heroin book. I think that's a really stupid idea.
I Yeah.
I'm gonna have to rate it garbage because as a setting book, why did you have a long series of economic treatises and an entire page dedicated to how to get an application to work in an industry? Why did you
Also,
do that?
if you're doing that, why not make that a game mechanic? Like
My
you already talked about reputation and all the sort of stuff. Make that an actual game mechanic as also like a progression element. If you're with playing as like these group of monster girls, then you know
You also don't
basically.
really work with it because all you did was just kind of went, "What if Monster Girl but in modern, like Monster Musume?" And you didn't really do anything interesting with it.
And you know what, Monster Musume I think actually had world building. Wasn't it like these creatures actually were from another world and they were just visiting?
I don't know. I'm not familiar with with that at all. I just know that that's what it's based on. All I can tell you is that overall, it doesn't really do anything with what it has, which you're essentially taking the premise of Gate. You have Monsters Musume as another aspect, and you don't actually kind of come up with interesting stuff with it, despite all of the material that you have to work with. I mean, for fuck's sake, you don't even really go into what type of monster girls are in the splat. We just made them up on the fly as a joke.
You know what I realized? What if there are parasite monster girls? Or what about bacteria monster girls?
I mean, I think they exist for like very specific weird people who like special commissions.
Now, I mean, it would be odd to have sexual dimorphism in a non-eukaryote species, but that still would be interesting.
What if we had a case where like you had a case not necessarily of parasitism but symbiotic monsters? Like you need one monster to
Yeah, that
survive off the other.
that explains the tits then.
Oh, apparently Monster Musume
It,
actually focuses on the bureaucracy of the world building, which is probably where the ADRF comes in. I think that's where that thing got ripped off.
and then
So,
you decided to bring ice into it and not really explore that.
yeah, like think of all of the stupid things you could do just parodying the protocols for ice.
Just like border inspection. Make sure you're not bringing any food, uh, weapons or magic tomes of darkness
Yeah,
when you
that
come to the
wouldn't that
United
be
States.
hilarious? Wouldn't that be hilarious? Like, you have a traveling cavalcade of reptilians led by a coyote girl, and they have
Did you
to go.
declare? Yeah. Did you declare all your magic spells before you came into the country?
I can assure
Are you?
you that this one is of our goddess, due to the First Amendment of yours, which respects faith, does it. Yeah, but it's also a necromancy spell, and that's a rated prohibited spell in this state.
You ha
We're gonna
declare
have to turn you
if
around,
you're
and you have to
coming.
go to
Listen.
Nevada. They
Yeah.
legalized it there.
Yeah.
They
You're gonna have.
legalized necromancy
Yeah.
there.
If you're coming in with more than one treasure chest worth of gems, you do have to declare that when you're entering customs.
I will also warn you that this spell is prohibited except on holy days because again, necromancy is not legal except in the most serious of high holy days. If you wish to do more mundane dark arts, you have to go to Nevada, which legalized it, along with the kimono clubs.
Yeah. Okay, listen, I know we had some difficulties trying to get IDs for women that wear the full niqab. How the fuck can we get a photo ID of a vampire? They don't show up.
And
Get
then the
get the
vampire lady
get
just
the.
goes, "Well, I could always have my manservant draw make a drawing of me."
We're gonna have to get a consultant in here. I'm sorry, ma'am, but
Then
this is the
Dracula
protocol.
kind of struts in as the as like the consultant.
Also, we are gonna have to. You are gonna have to declare that soil. It is technic. We want to make sure there's no invasive species in it.
See, that could actually be fun if you play it up like that. Can you take the blood type of a vampire?
It
It
is.
just rates as its own unique blood type.
It is.
It is
Well,
type
there's no.
D. It's type D for Dracula. I'm just envisioning like the homeowners association telling the wolf girl you cannot woo at this time because it breaks noise code violations from here to then.
What am I supposed to do instead? I don't know. It, and just getting in, it just gets into a massive fight and ends up with somebody's house getting trashed, and it's not who you expect.
The vampires a twist, they only reflect in silver. That could be fun. That's another thing you could do is you could take like some of the mythological monsters and just kind of play it up like, oh, well, you see the skeletons are actually not undead. Wait, what? No, no, no. You see, their bones are actually just like exoskeletons. They're a colonial organism.
Listen, we're we're having to round up the trolls. They're under the bridge again. We told them this is not a designated residential area.
But they take forever to build proper bridge for house.
Listen, just take a box. Like imagine said like a bunch of boxes and put it like an arch over you. Does that work? We can actually get the
Did that.
boxes for you.
The wetness broke the boxes.
Hmm.
Also got drunk one night, punched support wall.
What if you now? What about this? If you're under a house, if the house has a roof over it and it's arched in a certain way, would that count technically as a bridge? Because
And,
the only way.
and then they get him to a lean-to, like this big troll to a lean-to. He squats under it. Feel close enough. Trog happy. This work. Yeah, Cops for Monster Girls sounds like a really fun idea. Not just Monster Girls, just like monsters in general. The moth girls are crashing after getting distracted by stoplights. No, they have to do like certain daylight laws. Like moth girls, you're not allowed in cities after dark. That's racist. No, watch. And then they bring the moth
Mm,
girl in, and she just kind of runs into the nearest traffic light. It's for their safety and the safety of all pedestrians and vehicle drivers. Like it's not a racism thing. It's a we are trying to save their life thing.
yeah, as we see these catcalls, they're trapped in catnip. Listen, it's a controlled substance now.
It's personal use though. Only 2 ounces.
Take it up with the judge.
Hunter ink material again. It actually
No,
could
no,
work.
Piley. Okay, we gotta. Okay, we brought along the rabbi. We've got a golem that's wrecking around the place. We gotta write. What was it? Emet. We gotta write Emet on it.
No, no, no. He gets into a legalistic argument with the golem, which distracts it from its rage until it calms down.
Yeah, we're gonna try to see about getting this guy set up properly. Maybe have him work at a local firm.
We're gonna have to. No, no, no. It's like, oh, it's unfortunate. We have to code E, which turns it from Emmet to death.
Oh,
It's like, I'm sorry, we have to code E him.
yeah. Don't worry. I mean, hey, at least we got a local Jewish community. Last time we had a jinn around here, we did have to fly in somebody from Saudi Arabia.
See, you could do a lot of fun with the concept. It's just you need to play with it. You need to also play with like the behaviors of like the type of monsters.
Oh, pagans bring up our idea of Hunter Incorporated.
Yeah,
This
it's
would
a
be
great
perfect.
idea.
But well, that's our look at the celebrated Monster Girl community in the United States. We do hope everybody has a great 4th of July or whatever holiday you might be celebrating, as I
Tomorrow's
believe.
Canada Day, I think.
Yep.
So have a happy Canada Day tomorrow, I think.
The next week, I feel like we should continue on some of the stuff that we've been wanting to do. We still haven't done Molgoth versus Visigoths.
True, but we also deserve a good book since we've done 2 terrible ones in a row.
Yeah, that's right.
So we could get away with something nice. Maybe something Star Warsy or something else.
We will see what happens.
We'll figure it out. Don't worry, guys.